by the Chancellor and the
Sure,
CEO.
sure.
And then we get into the talks, basically.
Sure.
It'll be a very short one.
Yeah,
And this is in commemoration of the 25th meeting of NNRC, brainstorming. So this is Silver Jubilee meeting. So,
Right.
but you are used to golden and platinum, and also it is not that level.
No, only when silver happens, it makes the way for the golden. So the golden depends or is based on that only.
Yeah.
Dr. Prakash, I think
Yes.
to just let you know that we are live now, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Wonderful. Great.
the Chancellor is already here, sir. He's just entering, sir.
Cancel what?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Morning. So greetings to one and all who have logged in. My name is Shirin Karyappa, and I'm not greeting you, by the time of the day, because we have participants from all over the world who are present here. And a very warm welcome to the National Webinar on Nutrition, Nutraceuticals, Health and Wellness, Academia Industry Interface. This webinar has been organized by the Nutrition and Nutraceutical Research Center, Faculty of Hospitality Management and Catering Technology, Ramaiah University of Applied Sciences, to commemorate its 25th meeting. We will now begin with the inaugural ceremony. I would like to request Professor Govind R. Kadambi to deliver the welcome address. But before that, I'd like to give you a brief about the Reverend. Professor Govind R. Kadambi is a graduate from the University of Mysore with a BE degree in Electronics and Communication Engineering. Professor Kadambi pursued his MS and PhD degrees at Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, with specialization in antenna engineering. Between 1978 and 1994, he was with the Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, and Aeronautical Development Agency, Bangalore. During 1995 to 2006, he was associated with various technology development organizations in Canada and USA, like SG Microwaves, Centurion Wireless Technologies, Interdigital Communications, and Apple. He returned to India in the year 2006, and since then, he has been with Ramaiah University of Applied Sciences. Dr. Kadambi is presently the acting Vice Chancellor of Ramaiah University of Applied Sciences. Also, Dr. Kadambi has been granted 24 US patents and 10 other international patents from China, Korea, Japan, Germany, and Europe. He has filed several Indian patent applications as well. I now request you, Professor Govind R. Kadambi, to deliver the welcome address, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Shirin. Respected keynote speaker of today's webinar, Dr. Jindal. Respected Dr. Prakash, Dr. Jamuna Prakash, the beloved Chancellor of our university, the Chief Executive of the Local Education Foundation Medical, respected delegates, participants, dear colleagues and friends. It is my great privilege to be part of this inaugural function of this webinar. And I consider it as a privilege to have this welcome address. Before I go directly to the formal welcome address, I would just want to spend a couple of minutes to put the topic of today's webinar in the context, and also the NNRC of our university, because today's topic is very relevant in the context of COVID-19. Needless to say, this pandemic has thrusted upon or forced upon us an extraordinary introspection of unimaginable proportion related to our health and safety. In the process, needless to say, it has shown the urgency and it has shown the sense of added awareness about the individual responsibility and the need for that much of extra carefulness about our health. And as the saying says, life hinges on hope, and there is no hope without good health. And one of the key terms in the topic of today's seminar is wellness. And wellness is a dynamic, action-oriented entity. And wellness insists on awareness, choice, change, and growth towards a healthy and fulfilling life. And influence of lifestyle and food habits on human health is no more a mere perception. Actually, it is a noticeable reality. And as we know that nutrition deals with a balanced diet, and nutraceuticals aim not only to supplement the diet, but it also aids in the prevention of a disease or a disorder. So therefore, nutrition and nutraceuticals are therefore the allies of our health and wellness. Broadly speaking, now that we are dealing with food science. So when we talk about food science, we think of the collaboration, consultancy, innovation, products, publication between academia and industry. As a comprehensive university, actually, way back in 2016 itself, we thought there should be a knowledge center which propels the awareness about the wellness and health of the population or society through what we call as a food-based approach. So in this context, actually on 22nd December of 2016, actually this Center for Nutrition and Nutraceutical Research Center was inaugurated by our former Vice Chancellor, Professor Shankpal. Obviously, whenever we're taking this initiative, so we need a power magnet actually. So all of us know that many of us and most of us always want one thing in life actually, in many walks of life. That is hand to hold, ear to listen, and heart to speak actually. In fact, in this direction of nutraceutical and nutritional research actually, so we did find Dr. Prakash as an able mentor actually, and recalling the statement of our late Professor Manjunathaya way back in 1978. All of you know that those who have heard mathematics are complex variable. Cauchy is supposed to be the foremost. So in one of the class he told, I cannot say Cauchy is father of complex variable, but he is everything actually. So I cannot say Dr. Prakash is father of NNRC, but as far as we are concerned, he is everything to NNRC actually. So under his leadership actually, in fact, we used to meet twice a month or sometimes much better. So about 2 months earlier, when we met for the 24th time, I suggested that the Silver Jubilee or 25th meeting of our NNRC staff members and initiatives should lead to something actually. So on that context, we did conceive that better way of celebrating this 25th meeting of our faculty members of our NNRC has to convert into a webinar or a seminar. So because of this pandemic actually, we thought it is better to conduct a webinar online. That is how the concept of this seminar has come. With this background, again, it is my great pleasure to welcome the keynote speaker of this webinar, Dr. Jindal. Actually, he is joining us online from New Delhi. Actually, when we discussed about the keynote address last week, Dr. Prakash said, I know a person that is who will be an apt person to give the keynote address, and Dr. Jindal agreed readily. And on behalf of our university and all the participants and delegates of the seminar, it is my great pleasure to extend a hearty welcome to Dr. Jindal. And of course, I have briefly told about Dr. Prakash. Of course, he's an international figure of repute in the broad field of food science, and what all we have achieved during the last 4 years as a concept of a food science-based approach in NNRC, we can attribute it to Dr. Prakash. Again, a very dynamic personality, and in this webinar, he will be playing multiple roles. Again, on behalf of our university and the dignitaries present in this webinar and all the colleagues and participants, again, it's my great pleasure to extend a very hearty welcome to Dr. Prakash. Because Dr. Jamuna Prakash is also very well known in the field of nutrition and nutraceuticals, and in fact, he has participated in many of the events that NNRC and our university had arranged in the past, and again, she has consented to be one of the speakers for this webinar. Again, on behalf of everyone here and on behalf of all the delegates and participants, I extend a very warm welcome to Jamuna Prakash. Of course, any institution is a product of vision and sustained interest. So needless to say, this university and the group of institutions of Gokul Education Foundation, definitely they are the product of vision of our Vice Chancellor. And despite a heavy schedule and many preoccupation, when I discussed about the possible dates about this seminar, actually he was agreeable for all the dates, actually, not only for this today. Again, so it shows the interest he has in these initiatives. Again, on behalf of all the speakers, on behalf of my colleagues, and also on behalf of the entire fraternity of our university, again, it is my great pleasure to welcome our Chancellor for this inaugural function. Because we also have a very experienced administrator and a policy formulator in the form of Sri Srinivas Murthy, who is the Chief Executive Gokul Education Foundation, which also happens to be the sponsoring body of our university. Because he's a retired civil servant with a vast experience, and also he has got associated to very many institutions, actually. So during the past 3 years, he has been guiding and mentoring us in many ways. Again, he also has taken time off despite his busy schedule. Again, on behalf of everyone here and on behalf of all the participants and delegates, again, it's my great pleasure to extend a warm welcome to our CEO of GF. Again, we also have Professor Sai Baba, who is a new addition to our RUS, actually, a distinguished scientist of high reputation and having served several decades in Department of Atomic Energy, actually. So he's also gracing the function through his presence. Again, on behalf of everyone here, again, it's my great pleasure to welcome our registrar, Professor Sai Baba, for this inaugural function. Of course, we have Dr. Razdan, of course, administrator of very many years of experience and par excellence, and also is an advisor to our Chancellor on quality assurance, actually. So when I requested him to be part of this inaugural function, again, he has consented and is gracing the occasion through his presence. Again, on behalf of everyone here and on behalf of my colleagues, again, extend a very warm welcome to Dr. Razdan. So without taking much of time, again, in a succinct way, I said that it's my great pleasure to extend a warm welcome to anyone and everyone and who have been participating through online, offline. And with these remarks, again, it's my great pleasure to be part of this inaugural function. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kadambi. Shri M.R. Srinivas Murthy is a retired IAS officer and has served as chairman of the 6th State Pay Commission of Karnataka and as the chairman of Karnataka Electricity Regulatory Commission. A former civil servant from the Indian Administrative Service, he has held various important positions in the government of Karnataka and the central government, including Additional Chief Secretary, Finance Department, and Principal Secretary, Rural Development, Government of Karnataka, Commissioner, Bangalore City Corporation, Principal Secretary, Election Commission of India, and Controller, ISRO Satellite Center, Department of Space, Government of India. Shri Murthy has Masters of Arts degrees in Political Science, Economics, and Rural Development and Planning. I now request Shri M.R. Srinivas Murthy, Chief Executive, Gokul Education Foundation, Medical, for his remarks on the occasion, please.
Good morning to all the distinguished panelists, our dear Chancellor, Dr. Jairam, Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. Kadambi, and all the colleagues who have joined this webinar. I'll keep my remarks very brief. Ramaya Group of Institutions, sponsored by the Gokula Education Foundation, we have always had a great amount of interest in promoting public health and wellness. And every part of our institution generally focuses on some aspect of public health or the other. And I am very happy to note that we have a research center which is looking into nutrition and nutraceuticals in our faculty of catering technology and hospitality management. Nutrition or the problems associated with inadequate nourishment to populations is a major issue that is facing India and particularly our state of Karnataka. The recent National Family Health Survey has revealed that nearly 30% of children, even in a city like Bangalore, are unfortunately undernourished. They are either stunted or they show signs of wasting. Similarly, women, a large part of our female population also suffers from many disabilities consequent upon poor nutrition. Now, there is a very urgent need for centers like this to make the entire society acutely aware of the problems faced by inadequate or improper nutrition in our dietary intake. And also, probably the kind of, for a country like ours, which is supposed to be surplus in the production of food grains, it should be possible for us to evolve food processing practices which will ensure that the general dietary practices conform to the nutritional requirements of our population. And perhaps we need to make some innovative modifications in the kind of culinary practices that we have inherited as a society, and some research into this so that some new forms of food processing, new practices can be promoted so that the available resources in our country can be made optimum use of, so that our population has excellent properties of health and well-being. It is very painful to note that all these days, nutrition people used to say that South India somehow, South Asia somehow has been lagging behind in many parameters of population health. Now it is being pointed towards India itself, rather than generally South Asia. And even our neighboring countries seem to be faring better in many aspects of Human Development Index, particularly the nutritional aspects. So I'm sure the research center, which is having its 25th meeting of faculty today, will give urgent attention to some of these aspects and evolve good practices which could be recommended for adoption by our population. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I wish the webinar all success. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Vish Prakash is currently the President of International Union of Food Science and Technology, IUFOST, and Vice President of International Union of Nutritional Sciences, IUNS. He was former Director of CFTRI Mysore and was appointed as Distinguished Scientist of CSIR India. He has received more than 65 national and international awards, including one of India's high civilian awards, Padma Shri, the coveted Bhatnagar Award for Science and Technology of India, Rajyotsava Award at state level, and several Lifetime Achievement Awards from various organizations like AIFPA, FICCI, IUFOST, and within India and abroad. He's a fellow of most of the academies in India and also Royal Society of Chemistry, UK. He is the Indian scientist recipient of the Platinum Jubilee Award of AIFPA Lifetime Achievement Award during 2019 from the hands of the Honorable President of India. It is coincidental that the President of AIFPA will be delivering the keynote address in this webinar today. Dr. Prakash is an adjunct professor of RUAS and has primarily set up the Center of Excellence of NNRC in the university in a very short span of time. Dr. Prakash's scientific contribution in the area of food science, food technology, chemistry, and biochemistry of food biomolecules, nutraceuticals and nutrition reach out, food and nutrition safety, and herbaceuticals is vast and in-depth with new innovations and technologies in the foreground. Dr. Prakash has, as of date, 216 peer-reviewed publications, 55 patents filed, nearly 50 PhD degrees guided, and 810 plus keynote, chief guest, and convocation addresses delivered, and has authored 14 books, and 12 more books are in the pipeline. Excuse me. Dr. Prakash has completed 50 years of his untiring service and dedication to chemistry of proteins and enzymes and biomolecules in the larger realm of academia and industry interface, and innovative food products to the market, and is one of the names which is so popular with industries and academia and the government for his bold ideas and neutral stand based on science. I now request Dr. Vish Prakash to deliver the inaugural address.
Thank you very much, Shirin, for that more than what I deserve curriculum vitae. It's a great pleasure to be here today morning online, even though Bangalore is only about 90 miles from Mysore, but because of COVID and some of us on the other side of the risk group, I decided not to travel. My dear Dr. Jairam, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Honorable Chancellor of RUAs, Dr. Srinivas Murthy, Chief Executive of the Gokula Education Foundation Medical, Dr. Kadambi and Professor A.B. Matthew, and dear Dr. Subodh Jindal, President AIFPA, Professor Jamuna Prakash, formerly of the University of Mysore Department of Food, Science and Nutrition, Dr. Priya Arjun, who has been the anchor for this conference. And also, more importantly, I should mention Dr. Sharath, who has coordinated and moderated this very well. It's a great pleasure for me to talk about 2 minutes, because later on I'll be giving a talk, so therefore I don't want to take much time. It's good to remember Ramaya University, well known from my childhood as a Malleshwaram boy. We used to think that this is the end of our education journey, either going to medical or engineering. If you come here, you're all set. But today, with the leadership of late Sri Ramaya, and of course later on the leadership of Dr. Jairam and Srinivas Murthy and others, this has taken a very, very different, vast expansion. And in that vast expansion, the new carving out of the RUAs became a real, mission for many applied sciences. And therefore, at that time, this department, which basically had an indicator of a catering technology, got itself charged to do the nutraceutical. And when Dr. Jairam I met on the day this was being thought of, he mentioned one thing I still remember. Dr. Prakash, the networking is very important. And I think that word still is lingering in my mind. And therefore, I might even say NNRC is not just nutrition, nutraceuticals, health, and for research center, but networking the networks. The N and N stands for networking the networks. That's where we have now influx of many other departments who are unknown to many people in the nutrition and nutraceutical area. So therefore, this is the treasure of RUA. Another university, excuse me, may not have this kind of a power, which uniquely has been vested with RUA. There is a tremendous amount of enthusiasm in the faculty of NNRC. They are 24/7, I can tell you. You just tell them something, they do it immediately. But then at the end of 25th meeting, this is not an ordinary meeting of the staff or so, this is a brainstorming. And we had an international conference last year wherein we picked up many ideas and put it into action already within 1 year. And therefore, the entire faculty here is something which is very unique of them is hard work and thinking and action with the clear pathway that the Chancellor and the Chief Executive has laid. They just are the best people to fit in there. And therefore, they may all be very excited about the 25th meeting, but here comes the danger of a 25th meeting. All the faculty of NNRC, you are in for more work. I'm sorry. After this 25th meeting, the ideas given by Jindal, Dr. Jindal, Professor Jamana Prakash, given by the Chancellor, and already given by Dr. Srinivas Murthy, a call on nutrition, and Professor Govind Kadambi, it is going to be hard for you in the next 1 year to comply to these dreams and these ideas. Ideas come forward, but to make it into an activity, to make it into a product, and then give the fruits of that is simply not easy. And therefore, you're in for hard work, but I know, I'm confident, I'm really confidently optimistic that you can do it. So therefore, pen and pencil and paper are ready for you to take down the points in this webinar. And here we are going forward with a clear mandate of absolutely not afraid of the future. Be it be pandemic, be it be no pandemic, the work will go on. And that's what our COVID-19 has taught us, keep moving. And therefore, I would give that word, keep moving, with the ideas that you accumulate from all of the important people. Thank you very much. And it's a great honor to be always associated with Ramaya University of Applied Sciences. And being a Malleshwaram boy, my umbilical cord is always there. And they are situated next to IISc. And I would say the flavor of IISc comes from RUAS. And the name of IISc may come from IISc, but the flavor comes from next to Ramaya University, next to RUAS, next to Ramaya Hospital, next to Ramaya Education Society. And therefore, we are very proud of this institution. And wherever I go in the world, I put one slide of this university. And many people say there was not necessity, we already know it. And therefore, you can see the login today from Ghana, from Malaysia, from many, many countries. And that shows the power of this university. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Dr. Prakash, for the inaugural address. Dr. M.R. Jairam is the chairman of Gokula Education Foundation. He's a commerce graduate and the eldest son of Shri Dr. M.S. Ramaya. GEF was established in 1962 with a mission, education and health for the better of mankind. GEF over the years has established 21 institutions on the 85-acre Gyan Gangotri campus. The institutions include engineering, medicine, nursing, dental, law, management, and so on. You find almost all disciplines on a single campus. Today, more than 14,000 students study on this campus. GEF is a pioneer in establishment of privately financed educational institutions, and they are largely responsible for Bangalore becoming an educational hub. As the eldest son, he joined his hands with his father and is largely responsible for GEF's achievements. After the demise of his father, he created a super specialty hospital in memory of his father, which has become a pride of Bangalore today. The MSR School of Advanced Studies is also his creation. In the last few years, he has modernized a 30-year-old 800-bedded hospital, rebuilt dental hospital and dental college, established an international medical school for Malaysian students. In 2010, launched GEF Coventry University School for Physiotherapy. A new campus with an area of approximately 9 acres has been created for MS Ramaiah School of Advanced Studies, created Advanced Learning Center, a one-of-its-kind advanced skill training center for practicing doctors and health professionals in the country, an Institute for Neurosciences, and India's largest rehabilitation center. A new campus with more than 60 acres of area is being created off NH7 in Chikbalapur district of MSRUAS, for MSRUAS. MS Ramaiah University of Applied Sciences has come into being very recently, and he is the Chancellor of the university. He is not only an educationist, but also a businessman and industrialist of repute. He is also the chairman of Valdel Corporation. Valdel is into engineering construction, engineering design, retail, BPO, and host of other businesses. Earlier, they were also in the business of steel making, cement manufacturing, agribusinesses, and IT. He is also into community development and philanthropy. He is the Dharmadhikari of Kaivara Kshetra, a center for religious activities located around 60 kilometers away from Bangalore. This Kshetra is also into rejuvenation of old temples in and around Kaivara, providing health and education to villagers around Kaivara, feeding them daily, conducting annual mass marriages, and many such socially relevant activities. He has created, excuse me, he has created a trust that awards scholarship annually to the financially backward meritorious candidates for pursuing higher education. He has created an Indology Center which is involved in the study of ancient Indian history and scriptures. He was also into politics for a short stint and was an elected member of the Legislative Assembly of Karnataka State. Dr. M.R. Jairam was awarded honorary doctorate by Coventry University for his contribution to education and business in November 2006. I now request Dr. M.R. Jairam to deliver the presidential address, sir.
Thank you. Dr. Prakash, Dr. Jindal, Mr. Srinivas Murthy, Dr. Kadambi, Dr. Raghdan, Sai Baba, and host of other members. It gives me a great pleasure to give the presidential address. Indian science considers food as medicine, which sustains not only the human body, but maintains the purity of heart, mind, and the soul. The present pandemic scenario, the whole world is grappling of health, wellness, and immunity. I am happy to note that the Nutrition and Nutraceutical Research Center of our university is organizing a national webinar in nutrition and nutraceutical health and wellness, academia in industry interface. The proposed academia industry interface is the need of the hour to integrate knowledge and innovation for addressing the problems in the collaboration mode of the benefit of the society and the mankind. In particular, the industry shall gain by utilizing knowledge base of academia and universities shall have an opportunity to carry out the contemporary research and contemplating industry requirements. Under the able mentorship of Padma Shri Dr. V. Prakash, the faculty members of the NNRC have nurtured the gained experience in the field of food and beverages, nutrition, and nutraceuticals. They have been actively conducting research, developing products which can be of immense value and potential in commercialization. The research center is recognized by the government of Karnataka as well as international research organizations like ICR, ISAT, and industries for their contribution promoting organic and millets in the past. Moreover, NNRC has contributed to introduce innovative millet products into the hotels and menus of Bangalore. From the past 4 years, the research center is actively filling the gaps of finding solutions for industries and addresses the nutrition and nutraceutical requirements of better health and wellness. The national webinar has distinguished speakers of national acclaim and international fame with rich experience in industry, academia, and R&D organizations. With more than 600 registrations from across India and international participants from Japan, Malaysia, Israel, UK, Philippines, and Ghana, I'm sure and confident that NNRC shall make a significant contribution in nutrical domain. I wish NNRC and FHMCT all the best in the webinar and thanks all the participants for their academia, institution, and industries. Wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. First, we have to share the screen.
That's the inauguration.
Oh, that's inauguration. Okay.
Not yet, sir. So the time has come to inaugurate the webinar. I request Dr. M.R. Jairam, the Honorable Chancellor of Ramaya University of Applied Sciences, to please do the honors, sir.
Okay, that's it.
That's nice.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Very nice.
Also, I would like to thank Professor Sai Baba for your gracious presence here today. Professor A.B. Matthew, Dean, Hospitality Management and Catering Technology, is a highly experienced personnel in the hospitality industry. Having many certifications to his credit, he has more than 3 decades of industrial and academic experience. His main interests lie in food and beverage production and management. He has been the chairman of Board of Examination and expert member for the National Assessment and Accreditation Council. He is also member of Academic Council, Bangalore University, and Local Inspection Committee at Mysore University. I now invite Professor A.B. Matthew to deliver the vote of thanks, sir.
The roots of all goodness lie in the soil of appreciation for goodness. This is a saying by His Holiness Dalai Lama. So I am here to appreciate the efforts, the time put in for this function by all the dignitaries, as we say, of line and online. Okay, we had description of all the dignitaries already, but I must take the name of our Honorable Chairman, Dr. M.R. Jairam, our CE, Mr. Sri Srinivas Murthy, Dr. V. Prakash, of course, is our mentor, our guiding force. But I'll be failing in my duty if I don't take his name. Dr. Kadambi, who is again what you call the tail twister of the whole NNRC, and Dr. Sai Baba, who is an eminent scientist who joined us recently. I take this opportunity to thank the key speakers, Dr. Subhash Jindal, Professor Jamuna Prakash, and my sincere thanks to Dr. Rasdan, who's taken his time to be here with us today. And I will not take much time in giving the vote of thanks because we have still many things to happen. But I will be failing in my duty if I don't thank all the participants in the various parts of the country, starting from Assam to Manipur to Jharkhand to Kanyakumari, and all over the world, as it was mentioned earlier, Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, UK, you name the country and we have participants there. Thank you all for being a part of this seminar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor A.B. Matthew. Moving forward with the scientific sessions. Scientific session 1 is the keynote address by Dr. Subodh Jindal on the role of academia, research, and industry in promoting nutrition. To give you a brief about him, Dr. Subodh Jindal is President of All India Food Processors Association and Chairman, Taxation and Foreign Trade Committee, EIFPA. A food processor for over 38 years, Dr. Jindal is well versed in the operation of food industry and has made immense contribution to the growth of the sector as member of various government and industry bodies. He takes keen interest in R&D activities and holds to his credit the development of many culinary products and ready-to-eat foods which have found special applications in the hospitality sector in domestic and foreign markets. Dr. Jindal has chaired and organized a large number of conferences and seminars in different areas of food processing, including technical matters, regulatory and environmental issues, financial and taxation concerns, standardization, nutrition, packaging systems, global competition, and energizing the farmer-processor joint working to save wastage of perishable agri-produce and enhance the income of farmers. We welcome you, Dr. Jindal, and over to you, sir. So your mic, I think you'll have to unmute your mic.
You have to unmute. Call him on phone to unmute.
Yes, we'll do that.
Dr. Jindal, you could take the cursor to the left-hand corner bottom. You will see that left-hand corner bottom. There is a mute mic. Yeah, now you're on.
Yeah. Sorry for this glitch. Reverend and Honorable Dr. M.R. Jairam, Honorable Chancellor of IUAS, Professor Govinda Kadambi, Professor Sai Baba, Dr. V. Prakash, Dr. Jamuna Prakash, Mr. M.R. Srinivas Murthy, all learned academicians, scientists, industry experts. A very good day to everyone. It gives me great pleasure to join this event and share my views with all of you on a very important topic which is fundamental to our life, growth, and sustenance. I am grateful to the Ramaiah University for holding this event with invitation to such learned speakers and organizing the entire academic system here to participate and give me the opportunity to be amidst all of you. Let me begin to say that nutrition is as much a part of our life as air and water are. And we are indebted to nature to give us these elements. In fact, we may say that nature makes food. Humans only prepare it, process it, preserve it, and combine it into a usable form. The bioelements in the food and other plant materials are the real source of our nutrition. As scientists and experts working in the center, it is our collective responsibility to promote nutrition and serve the consumer with nutritious food and nutraceuticals. I would like to divide this responsibility at three levels, that is academia, research, and industry. We sometimes do think of academia, universities, and research as one, platform. But I have, thought of putting them into different academia and research. I will just describe. This is the three level chain which really develops the nutrition value chain for us. As at the first platform, we give it to academia to examine the human need for nutrition, understand nature's processes to give it to us, what is available, how to convert the same for our consumption, for carrying out our body functions. Important points here would be the absorption of nutrients, their metabolic processes, and assimilation. All this is more scientific in nature. The main role here would be to identify the sources of nutrients, analyze their biochemical structure, the related physiology, isolation, and finally harmonious combination. The graduation and master's level would be a good stage for beginning this work. It would be a multidimensional study and would include field exposure and appreciating nature. So this part I have thought of, keeping it at the academic level, preparing for research, preparing further. It is very encouraging to see that such similar initiatives have been taken by people to begin nutrition sensitization at school level itself. I have an example of a research mate who has set up a green ecological school along with a farm in Telangana at Paloncha, where school children are taught to find nutrition properties of crops, grains, vegetables, fruits, milk, etc. from literature and design their meals. Through this process begins the learning of scientific principles of nutrition and understanding the linkages between agriculture, food, energy, nutrition, and immunity. And very rightly mentioned by our Honorable Chancellor, food is medicine and it goes beyond body, purity of heart and mind. it is wonderful. Now, this entire process begins the learning of scientific principles of nutrition and understanding these linkages in the unified chain. At the graduation and master's level, students can specialize in different aspects: how to derive specific bioelements and formulate nutraceuticals for different applications. Academia can contribute to the nutrition value chain by preparing capable researchers to take up careers in advanced research work at dedicated institutions. We have a large number of renowned food science universities in the country whose active participation in this drive will provide a strong talent base for advanced studies in nutrition and preparation of the nutraceuticals. Now, here I come to the second level. We begin now the role for research, that is, how to take this basic knowledge and preparation of the mind to really achieve the products, innovation, and formulation that we need. Very admirably, India has a number of research institutions focused on food and nutrition. And we also have the best pool of scientific expertise, where the immense research potential is being unfolded. Fortunately, India is endowed with 130 agroclimatic zones, and we have the widest range of nutrition ingredients available from grains, fruits, vegetables, rhizomes, lentils, legumes, milk, spices, herbs, honey, plantations, forest produce, flowers, and other flora. What is more interesting is that besides nutri-ingredients, we possess a very credible heritage of nutraceuticals. Even though the detailed scientific analysis of the same needs to be re-established, it has been lost in the process of time. And this would be a huge challenge for research in the times to come. So this is the second level. We want our talent prepared at the academy and university level to really dedicate and devote for a great future. I must mention here that in the past, there has been some confusion in the concept of nutrition. To illustrate, when our farmer toiling in the fields used to sustain himself by taking makhana and chach in the morning, a meal of bajra roti and saag in the day, with roasted corn and chana for snacks, or dal bhat and good for dinner, the word thought that he was doing so because he didn't have modern nutrition food options. Yes, he was not literate and didn't exactly know the knowledge of nutritious food, but the practice of nutritious food was well ingrained in the system, perhaps for thousands of years. And that's the heritage, the legacy which we have. Today, we have gone through the entire circle and learned that the humble farmer was actually consuming good, nutritious food. Similarly, at times, advanced countries thought we were primitives, surviving on roots, seeds, herbs, secondary grains, rhizomes, leaves, animal milk, and the like. However, with new research, the world is slowly appreciating our practice on food and nutrition. Now, the point to express here, why I have given these two examples, is that it is research which helps us make the right selection. That's the fundamental importance of research. And that's the second level we are talking about. We have to integrate modern scientific systems of testing, analysis, molecular instrumentation, biotechnology, understanding bioelements, etc., and combine this entire knowledge with our heritage nutraceuticals and practices to discover better options, better products. The next issue is where to begin the research from. Something very, sharing from the heart. Nutrition and nutrients are known to come from processes which are linked to soil, water, air, light, minerals, biochemicals. Again, all given by nature. Research needs to begin from there. 50 years back, doctors would insist on powdered skim milk for babies, but later verified that mother's milk was the best nutraceutical. Similarly, almond and peanuts were thought to have similar properties, and hydrogenated vegetable oil was considered to be the best choice. All of these changed with further research, and there was evolving of new concepts. These thoughts bring us to the importance of in-depth research on nutraceuticals, nutri-ingredients, and formulations. Maybe tomorrow we come out with new herbal decoctions, spice formulations, ghee variants, or amla preparations beyond Chyawanprash. Chyawan was a great rishi, we can call him a researcher. Prash was his food. But we are moving further. We will probably make more options, which may be more convenient and more economical for the consumer. We have to create frontline nutraceuticals. Studies are already in advanced stage on turmeric, ginger, tulsi, aloe vera, honey, some herbs like ashwagandha, brahmi, giloy, then ghee, millets, even tea, spices, minerals, etc. Now here comes the importance of having state-of-the-art laboratories. Institutions who are involved in research, they have to install the best of the testing and analytical processes and gadgetry for the same. It will be interesting to conduct research on effects of rays of the solar system on food nutrition. Ancient tradition prescribes a milk pudding kept in moonlight overnight at a certain time of the year to get special nutrition properties. Today, we may not have the scientific evidence for that. But if there is a practice on that, it is worth doing some research. That's the way we should look at research. Now, friends, these two levels lead us finally to making a product. This is wonderful knowledge, and I am sure, as already mentioned by learned speakers before me, India is home to this knowledge. India is home to these nutrient ingredients, is home to this legacy and heritage that we have. Today is the time to combine all of this with modern scientific methods and tools to go further. That is where the role of the third platform comes in, and that is the industry. Nutrition and immunity are new buzzwords across the globe, and demand for nutrient ingredients and nutraceuticals is increasing rapidly. The world is looking towards India and high hopes of bringing out effective products based on our wide range of special nutrient ingredients. A lot of them are even called superfoods by the word now and our knowledge. This is a great challenge for the industry, the challenge of making India a global nutri hub. And all these three levels of the nutrition value chain finally should lead us to make our country a global Nutri hub. It is a unique opportunity the industry just cannot miss. We have to manufacture application specific products. So this is the way the industry needs to go. Products should be such that they are oriented toward certain, application contribution. We have to identify the botanicals and maybe even set up the growing processes under controlled organic conditions to ensure authentic base materials. We have to develop good formulations with strong clinical validation. Unless we have risk assessment, field surveys, grassroots application results, till then we cannot be sure, what we have made. We can use our vast experience we have in the pharmaceutical sector, where we have already succeeded in producing high quality, low cost generic drugs and other supplements. Now, this is another industrial experience which needs to be pulled in to making of nutraceuticals, and as Dr. Prakash mentioned, herbaceuticals. So, the potential is immense. We learn that the largest number of US FDA approved units located outside the US are in India. So that also shows us that there is a platform which is in the making in India. And it is for us, the specialized universities like Ramaya University, to groom the next generation to consolidate this platform. Now, considering that India has the right ecosystem for producing good quality nutraceuticals and nutri ingredients for single use also, we have to pledge to take the lead and contribute in a very respectable manner in the global arena, which means we have to connect with doctors, nutritionists, physical activity coaches, and other experts across the globe. Specialists and dedicated people are everywhere, and that will help us to understand their requirements beyond our geographical regions. And maybe we can do some innovative work suitable for them also. And in the process, we need to use latest processing methods, packaging technologies, and the shelf life requirements have to be fulfilled. Industry has a responsibility to work together with level 1 and level 2, which I have mentioned, particularly with research institutions as a team on real life issues. And as the theme of today's conference also, how academia, research, and industry link together, and the responsibility to initiate that largely rests with the industry. So the industry has to support this activity also. And that's a call that, we, all of us have to make. It is anticipated that after information technology era and biotechnology, the nutraceutical technology would probably be the next most important one, which will draw the global attention. One thing I want to share at this point is that sometimes there are attractions which take us in different directions. And as an example, there are people today who are calling plant-based beverages which are manufactured in a factory using plant inputs, extracts, nuts, etc., as milk. This is done basically to attract the consumer who thinks this is milk, as good as milk. Now we have to be careful that this is confusing. This also looks to be little, deceptive. And while dealing with the ingredient and nutraceutical products, we have to be trustworthy. We have to give what is the real product with the real concept and the real use, not to be attracted to cover it in some other, name or form. That is very important. In the above deliberations, we have not touched upon the role of government. This nutri-value chain actually needs promotion from the government also. That's a very important part, which is very vast study aspect. Industry does that with the government. A few ministries are involved in this, beginning from Ministry of Health and Ayush and Ministry of Food Processing Industries, Ministry of Food and Consumer Affairs, and Department of Science and Technology, ICAR, IMR, so many institutions, ICMR. So we need innovation-friendly regulatory support. A platform which gives encouragement for innovation, for trial. We also need reasonable tax structure so that the products are not taxed heavily. They are easy to be adopted in the market. Appropriate funding has to come. From where? From the industry and from institutions and government. They have to all, work together on that. There has to be strong export facilitation. We may have to even tackle some WTO issues. In fact, very unfortunately, there are restrictions placed on the export of milk and milk products or any other food products which contains a milk content. And India is suffering on the basis of that. So the milk industry, being such a nutritious, superfood, we are not able to serve the real purpose. So these government functions require a robust policy framework and a strong interministerial coordination. Sometimes let's accept that in our nation, we miss certain things because the interministerial or interdepartment coordination does not, catch momentum. And this is not easy to happen. So this part also is for all of us to do, maybe more so a responsibility of the industry to sensitize the government. One more thing, which is a little towards the left of the subject, but let me mention that the nutrition industry has another, sector. Most of us may have seen villagers feeding cows and buffaloes with constituents such as cotton seeds, flax seeds, chana, atta, choker, certain oils, oil cakes, millets, even vegetable, ginger powder, gur, salt, etc. The point is that when we think of nutrition of our food, and milk is an important source, then the nutrition of the animal is a direct link to that. Nutritious food for keeping the animal healthy and improving the nutrition of the milk becomes a part of this chain. It may be handled by different people, different segments in the chain, but this somehow gets connected. Government has also taken cognizance of this aspect. The Food and Safety Standards of India, the Act is under amendment currently, and it is including animal feed in its ambit now. So that gave me the thought to share it with all of you. And now narrowing down towards the end of my presentation, I must encourage all our experts and professionals in the sector. It is expected that the global nutri-ingredients and nutraceuticals market is currently at US dollars 412 billion and expected to grow at 8.3 CAGR from 2020 to 2027. And it will reach USD 722 billion by 2027. So in 7 years, almost doubling. India's current production in the sector is low. We are just about USD 5 billion. So 5 billion to 400, 500, 700 is a lot of potential. We can estimate the scope which lies ahead. The demand is rising rapidly. And as just mentioned, COVID has taught us a few things and evolved a few needs, understanding of what is wellness, health, nutrition, immunity. And this is going to increase or give an impulse to this sector very fast. We have to be cautious, again, as I mentioned earlier, that this is a sector which largely depends on confidence. And the industry has to adopt high integrity in product, authenticity, and quality to build up this global trust. That would probably be the jump start for or the strength of our endeavor. In the end, just to highlight, I would like to reiterate that nutrition is embedded in nature. The first step of creation, seed germination, gives sprouts which are extremely rich in nutrition. For example, the wheat germ grass or the legume profile nutrition. Our ancestors always practiced natural agriculture and used paushtik ahar. This is an indication of how fundamental is nutrition to mankind. It is a well-known premise that you are what you eat. Dear friends, many thanks for listening to my thoughts, and I'm extremely grateful to Ramaiah University, the organizers, and our most Reverend Dr. V. Prakash, who is a source of inspiration for the food industry, for IFA. IFA is a 77 years old association exclusively dedicated to the growth and development of the food processing sector. And the prime objective of this association is to put the industry on a scientific platform, on a completely technology based process. And this is where institutions, research, and the knowledgeable people like all of you, they become very important for us. So friends, kindly pick up whatever you think will help you to give India a quantum jump in boosting its performance and its market share in the center. Thank you very much, and with kind regards. Once again, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jindal, for that very enlightening talk. Moving on to scientific session 2, the lead talk of the webinar, I would like to welcome and invite Professor Jamuna Prakash, who will be speaking on the challenges of pandemic and nutritional aspects of health. Giving you a brief about her, Dr. Jamuna Prakash is a former professor of food science and nutrition at University of Mysore, India, with vast teaching and research experience. She is a fellow of IUFOST and National Academy of Agricultural Sciences, India. She has had an exemplary academic career with many awards and accolades and credited with over 250 research and review papers, 20 books and book chapters, over 400 presentations, and successful completion of many research and educational projects, with total citations exceeding 4,200. She has guided many students for doctoral and postdoctoral research. She is a member of many national and international committees, life member of many professional organizations, and serves as Indian Ambassador for Global Harmonization Initiative Austria. Her research interests are compositional analysis of foods, product formulation, sensory evaluation, nutritional digestibility and bioavailability, nutrition status of population, food behavior, and more. We welcome you, ma'am, and over to you.
Thank you, Shirin, for that nice introduction. Greetings to all the eminent guests of today's seminar, the faculty and students of Ramaya University, and all other participants. It's a great pleasure to be here this morning talking about nutrition during the times of pandemic. I would just share my screen. Can you all see? Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Yeah. So the topic is challenges of pandemic and nutritional aspects of health, because I think the world is going through a very strange time. And though we do know at least, if not a lot, something about nutrition, but these present times have given us such challenges that we do need to go back and think that what we are eating, what best we can do under the present circumstances. Starting with the health, because health is the topic, one thing we need to remember that it is an outcome of multiple determinants, because health is a combination of the genes we get, the environment around us, and the lifestyle. And in lifestyle, nutrition happens to be just one part. So that's something you need to remember, that when I'm talking about the food, the diet, and the nutrition, the other things are not to be ignored. And I'm only taking one aspect of health, which is important, that is nutrition, along with the other aspects of lifestyle, that is health care, exercise, and of course, freedom from stress in the present condition. So we are talking about a desirable mental and physical state of happiness we should have. Now, going on to the nutrition, we must remember what is the current situation. So the nutritional health scenario in that, which was also mentioned by one of the eminent guests in the morning today, Shri Murthy, that we have a population suffering with many kinds of nutritional deficiencies or excesses, which is an issue. And the latest survey also shows that though the child mortality has come down, the incidences of deficiencies, the stunting, the wasting, all have gone up, which does not really show a good tiding for our country. The next comes the non-communicable diseases, which also is of an extra concern during the present time, because we do know that in case a person gets COVID along with one or more comorbidity, he is at a much, much greater risk. Now, in this situation, the pandemic arrives. And this has really, I think, made the whole world topsy-turvy because it was unexpected, something which we just did not know about, unpredictable consequences, and of course, it has had a very negative impact on the whole world because I think we were not ready to deal with a pandemic of on such a large scale. Now, in this situation, I'm talking about taking care of health. Okay, what can we do? Of course, as you may be hearing, prevention happens to be the first option and the last option. So we need to follow the norms and the guidelines which are issued from time to time. There is no going away from that at all. When there is a vulnerable population, I would talk about these a little bit more. There has to be extra care. We need to adhere to healthy eating as much as possible under the circumstances. And also, special emphasis has to be given on the immune boosting foods. These 2 points would be my major focus of the talk. There must be adequate exercising, as we were doing before, and we can also think of alternative traditional therapies which might help us in boosting our immunity. In all this situation, what is the common man facing? There is information overload. Day in and day out, you have WhatsApp messages, you have a lot of information on the social media, you have all kinds of news telecasts telling us various things. So somewhere I think a common man gets confused. There is continuous update on the statistics to a certain extent. Yes, maybe we need that, but we also should remember that all of that may not really give us a true picture. There is misinformation, there are true and false stories, and there is more of negative outlook. I feel the news emphasizes on the negative aspect more than the positive aspect. When you go out, you look at people not wearing masks, but you look at people who are wearing masks. At least they are giving protection to themselves and to others. So there are two ways of looking at the same thing. Lack of proper guidance leading to confusion. What should we do? Because one set of people, one set of doctors say we must take vaccine. Another set says no, vaccine is harmful. So what should a common man do? And this is impacting our daily life in so many other ways also, which creates problem. So what can be done? So I think in the present situation, the best thing is that we need to take care of our own self and the family, at least that much. Because once you do that, you would be really reducing the burden on the healthcare system, which is an issue now. So for that, the first point is keeping safe. I would just make a mention of this because this is not my major focus, but that is very important. Then comes taking precautions to reduce probability of other health issues. In case we already have some issue, we need to be extra careful and take precautions so that it does not become more or we do not suffer with that, at least as much as possible. Then there is prevention with a healthy diet and the nutrition aspects of healthy diet, which should be emphasized, which I think is very easy and can be done by everyone, provided we just put a thought to it. Keeping safe, because this is highly contagious and travels through air and contact. So all these guidelines which are given by doctors and by the government also, whether it is social distancing or wearing masks or sanitizers or hygiene, All these have to be followed at all point of time. And this is something we cannot do away with because we need to live with this changed order. So instead of having lockdown again and again, suppose if everybody follows this, then this becomes so much more easier for the entire society. We have to have a new order of living itself because the pandemic is not going to go away in the near future very easily. This is going to stay with us, but we should learn how to live with it. Now, who's more vulnerable? And this is something which decides the priority for taking care. Elderly with underlying nutrition. This has been very well known now. People with a health condition or a compromised immunity. Children. Fortunately, we really do not have too much problem with the children affecting with corona so far, but that is a plus point. But still, we need to take care. Pregnant women and young mothers, and then come all others. So in this order, the priority is there for taking care. Now coming to the health issues, see, lowered immunity is a problem when we say that actually exposes you or makes you more vulnerable to get the disease. Now, in which conditions a person is got a lowered immunity? In case there are deficiencies, in case the living environments are not clean, we are not following hygiene. The elderly population, right now the number is almost around 140 million who, if they exposed, have a problem. Presence of comorbidity. This is already there in our population. It is an issue. Diabetes, nearly 77 million. Hypertension, almost 25 to 30% of population. Obesity. In urban areas, the incidence can be almost more than 20%. And if a person is obese, then he has more chances of getting into complications of COVID. Again, studies have proven that. Heart diseases. These can again pose a problem, and cancers. So we have all these issues on one side of non-communicable diseases, which might exist as comorbidity, and we have the deficiencies. So these two are the conditions under which we need to take care of our health, because we know that unhealthy diets that will contribute more towards nutritional inadequacy and pre-existing conditions, and this would increase the risk. Now, under all this, we have to remember that food safety comes first. So ensure your food is clean and safe at all times, though COVID-19 is not a food or waterborne infection. That's a plus point. But we need to take care because there is a possibility of surface contamination. So contamination could come from the food package, from the delivery person, because in case the hotels are not open, you might ask the food to be delivered home. Shopping bags, shops and supermarkets, and money exchange. So these are all the probability from where you can get infection, though as such, from food and water, it is not transmitted. Now coming to the nutrition guidelines. See, nutrition guidelines remain same for all times. These do not change just because COVID is around. But we have to just reinforce what is to be taken under desirable diets or healthy diets. Now, what about eating out? You have to consider these points. Hygiene of the place where you are eating, the street foods, how hygienic they are, the junk foods, the packaged foods. These are all to be taken care of once we talk about the food safety and nutrition. Because when you eat out, most of the time, the food is not healthy because it's high energy and high fat food, salty and sugary food, bakery products. Almost all bakery products come into the category of unhealthy foods. Highly processed products, fried foods, and refined foods. You might ask me why it's so. See, because the body's need of energy is the first one. The first thing when a man is hungry is that we want to fill up our stomach, and the energy need is foremost. And the food which gives us energy, sugar, oil, and cereals. These are the cheapest sources of calories in our diet. So when you talk about the street food, the processed food, or the hotel food, this is something which is being used in high amount. Sugar, oil, and refined flour or refined cereals. So it's the cheapest source of calories, and this is what the outside food comprises of. So if you are eating out, just see what you are ordering. Prevention. For prevention, it is best to build a better immunity. How that can be done? Through food, through lifestyle, and of course, through a positive attitude. And I would be focusing on food now. So the nutrients which are needed for building immunity, of course, are all this listed one about these I would talk. Proteins, vitamins, A, C, E, D, B complex, iron, zinc, and selenium. Now, how are we to translate these into our daily diet? How do we make our diets healthier? So we need to have nutritious foods for improving health and immune function. So we need to follow what is called as a defensive nutrition paradigm. And what are the practical considerations for these? Incidentally, I just want to mention that anytime I'm taking a class on nutrition or in a seminar when I'm giving lecture on nutrition, I ask a question to my students that are you all taking healthy diet? And surprisingly, in a class of 90 or 100 or even in a group of 200, there would be hardly 2 or 3 hands which raise, which say that we are taking a nutritious diet, because they know about nutrition, but then when it comes to eating patterns, the diets are not healthy. And I think it's very easy to follow. It is not at all difficult provided you make up your mind. So starting with proteins, see, proteins are the basis of the entire cell structure. So they really are needed for an optimum immune function. And in this, we talk about both the quantity and the quality of protein. See, the quantity wise, we might get adequate quantity of protein provided you are eating well with all food grains and legumes and everything, but the quality is questionable. So the quality has to be maintained also. The protein sources I have listed, I think you must be familiar: legumes, milk and grains, nuts and eggs, meat and fish. See, in all these, the animal food, milk and egg and meat and fish, these are the ones which provide us good quality protein. But the other foods, they are good sources of protein, but the quality is not so good. So we need to have a mixture of these. We need to have a mixture of cereals and legumes to get good quality protein. The estimated average requirement of protein as per the latest one is 0.83 gram per kg body weight for an adult man and adult woman. I have given the approximate amounts. But this protein nutrition is compromised in a malnourished person, in a deficient person. So that means the immunity also would be lower. And for a good quality protein, you need to have a cereal pulse combination. Soya bean also have a good quality protein, but these I always suggest to be taken in limited amount, because soya bean also is very rich in what is called as phytic acid or phytates, which bind with the minerals. And we already have enough problem with iron deficiency. So to reduce that, I think we must take limited amount of soya bean. It can be taken in a fermented form or a germinated form, but not as such. Another problem with soya bean is also it must be taken in a properly cooked form, because it has a very high amount of trypsin inhibitor, which inhibits the protein absorption in the intestine. The milk group, which is good quality protein, and eggs and animal foods. Next, going on to vitamins and minerals. The best source is vegetables and fruits, apart from, of course, the whole grains, which are also good. And here we talk about all kinds. You must use a variety of vegetables, green leafy vegetables, other vegetables, roots and tubers and fruits. This is something, actually, In an adult diet, this must really form a 50% of your entire plate. Okay. Now, green leafy vegetables are literally a health tonic because they give you vitamin A, carotenoids, C, E, D, B vitamins, and iron, zinc, and calcium, even folic acid. It's a very, very significant source of these nutrients. Yeah, this is something little technical, which I just added on because this is estimated average requirement of nutrients for Indians, which has come out recently. And this is actually replacing the recommended dietary allowances given before. The amount here are much lower for most of the nutrients as given before. So this is just a guideline which must be used for individual. Now going to vitamin A, which regulates cellular and humoral immune response, maintains epithelial cell integrity and immune functions of mucosa. Now, this can be obtained from the diet either as vitamin A, as in milk or animal foods or fish, or its precursor, which is beta carotene. The conversion ratio of beta carotene to vitamin A is 6:1 from the latest publication. The amounts I have given here, the table I have given here shows you the beta carotene content of some of the green leafy vegetables on the right hand side of the screen and some vegetable and fruit here like mango, papaya, carrot and tomato. This is just to tell you that all these are such rich sources of beta carotene that you take one small serving every day and that gives you adequate amount of vitamin A. You are never going to have a deficiency. This is just to show you that how important it is to add fruits and vegetables to your diet every day. Folate and vitamin B12, again, these are immunomodulators. Folates we can get very well from green leafy vegetables, whole grains, eggs, or liver or kidney. B12 is only obtained through eggs and animal foods. And deficiency of B12 is commonly seen in vegetarians. So this is something which has to be thought about. And in case you do think that you have a B12 deficiency, then supplements are needed. Because the deficiency of B12 and vitamin D also is now currently, we are finding that this is surfacing in Indian population also. This might be a concern and you may have to take care of this in case you are vegetarian. Vitamin C and E are powerful antioxidants. This can be very easily obtained from fruits, vitamin C, and vitamin E is available in grains, whole grains, as well as in oils. And generally, we do not have deficiency of vitamin E, so that is not a concern. Iron deficiency anemia. This has been a problem across all age groups. We keep talking about it very frequently, but this just does stay in our population. So, to improve iron nutrition, by the way, this is also very important for the immunity. Now, to improve iron nutrition, apart from the iron sources, you should also take what is called as iron absorption promoters, because this is a concern that in our diet, the kind of food we eat, the iron is not absorbed so well. So what is the solution? Taking vitamin C with meals like lime, fruits and vegetables. Tamarind, because it's got organic acid, it really boosts the iron absorption. We've done a lot of studies in our laboratory, and all organic acids help in iron absorption. Tamarind equally well, and because it's a part of our food. Cooking in iron pans. Again, we've done studies on this. Once we cook in iron pan, there is an amount of iron which gets absorbed in our body through the food which is cooked in that. And remember, this was a traditional practice which has just gone away now. So I just suggest that at least one dish in a day, you have that cooked in an iron pan at home. Some kind of dal or some kind of sabji or sambar or whatever you want. Do not take coffee and tea with a meal. This is something very important. You can take it before meals or post meal, at least giving a gap of 1 hour, because once you take coffee and tea with a meal, it has a lot of tannins and it absorbs minerals like iron, zinc, and calcium. Vitamin D is sunshine vitamin, very important for immunity. Exposure to sun for 20 minutes a day is very, very important. Or other sources are fortified foods, mushrooms, and or fish oils. But this is something which is important for immunity, so you have to take care of this also. One question which is very frequently asked, should you take a supplement? See, for healthy adults eating a nourishing diet, there is no need for a supplement. For elderly, yes, this may be advised depending upon the condition, because most of the time, elderly are not able to take a nice, nourishing, balanced diet, and immunity is lower, and they have a lot of other problems. It may be to do with their dentures, or maybe they have no one to cook at home, or they don't have a proper caretaker, whatever it may be. But a supplement may be needed for elderly population. Deficiency. Yeah, in case somebody is deficient, in case you find you have some deficiency, maybe iron or B12 or whatever, yes, you need to supplement it. Supplement it for a time, for a short time, till you get over that, and then start taking a balanced diet. There is nothing wrong in taking a supplement. But the caution is, do not take therapeutic doses or excessive supplement unless you ask a doctor. A food supplement is fine in small amount, but not therapeutic doses, because that's something which must be done under a physician's care, because you might end up taking too much of a particular vitamin or a mineral. This again is another point which can be taken care of, that is increasing digestibility and availability of nutrients. That is, I'm talking about increasing the absorption of nutrients in the gut. Now for that, what is needed? See, we need a healthy intestinal structure. Why I have got this point is that now a lot of studies are coming out that in children, when we see continued wasting and stunting, despite all our nutrition programs, there is no improvement in the child undernutrition. One of the reasons may be because they keep on suffering with repeated infections, and the intestinal structure gets altered, so there is a malabsorption of nutrients. So whatever you try to give, whatever kind of diet you try to give to improve their undernutrition, we are not finding. So this could be one of the reasons probably in our community also. We need to have favorable gut microflora for normal or optimum absorption, which can be maintained with prebiotics and probiotics. We have a lot of fermented foods in our diet which can be taken. Optimal food and nutrient combinations, I mentioned some of them. Adequate dietary fiber, which again is very much needed for a normal intestinal function, and diet should have low absorption inhibitors. Healthier cooking options are fermentation, germination, steaming, roasting. You include salads and raitras, some amount of raw vegetable to get your vitamin C. Replace baked sweets with traditional paisam. See, baking is something wherein the food goes to a temperature of nearly 200 degrees centigrade or more than that. Whereas our normal cooking, we are playing around 100 to 120 degrees centigrade only. So what happens that in such high temperature, most of the nutrients are lost. The ones which are heat labile are definitely lost. Maybe nothing happens to proteins, fats, and carbohydrate, but some of the vitamins, yes, they are lost. So if you reduce the amount of food which is prepared with a very, very high temperature, you are getting more with other foods, that is steaming, roasting, or whatever it may be, our regular cooking methods. Okay, use whole grains and millets, and also a variety of them, not just eating only with rice or wheat, but include lot of other grains also in the diet for the variety and to get good quality protein also. Use fresh vegetables and fruits as much as possible, because when a food is fresh, the nutrient content is highest. Once you bring them home, you store them for 2 days, 3 days, 1 week, the nutrient content keeps on going down. That is something we have to remember always. Building immunity with foods. I think a mention was made with the earlier speaker, foods with medicinal properties. Yes, there are so many foods proven by our tradition, and these can be included very well in our food, whether it is amla, bitter orange, ginger, garlic, all kinds of spices, turmeric, or fresh lime. Then we also have healthy ingredients, superfoods. These are called as superfoods because the nutrient density of such foods is very high. They pack a lot of nutrients in the small grains, which could be amaranth seeds, sabza seeds, garden cress, pumpkin, flaxseed, chia, gingerly seeds also, or a fruit like avocado. Adequate fluid intake, because hydration is very important. So make sure that you have adequate fluid. It can be in any form, water, milk, coffee, buttermilk, fruit juices. Herbal teas or kashayas, which was there in our tradition system. And this is very good. Spices, tulsi, neem, mint, or green tea. These can be taken because these are known to provide immunity. But again, a caution is that should not overdo this. You have maybe once or twice a day, and that's more than enough. It does not mean that you take it, 8 to 10 times a day. That is not needed. Tradition and culture. This is time to go back to our tradition, because one thing in our tradition was respect food and water. And I think in the present circumstances, it's important that we respect our food, which translates to do not waste food. Because a food wasted is equal to disrespecting the food. Respect water, do not waste water, which is very much needed in today's time. Building faith, have faith. Have faith in positivity. Meditation really helps you to bring immunity again. Yoga and exercise, good food habits, and to top it all, a positive attitude. So my last slide is take care and stay safe. This too shall pass eventually, and we will be back to normal once again. So thanking the organizers and all the participants for a patient hearing. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jamuna Prakash, for a very illuminating talk. Going forward, Ms. Priya Arjun is the head nutrition. Just give me a minute, please. It's off screen share. Okay. Yeah. So Ms. Priya Arjun is the head Nutrition and Nutraceutical Research Center, Ramaiah University of Applied Sciences, and head of the Department of Food and Beverage Service, Faculty of Hospitality Management and Catering Technology, RUAS. For Scientific Session 3, I invite Ms. Priya Arjun for overviewing the initiatives of NNRC and its research and development programs. Over to you, Ms. Priya Arjun.
Good morning, one and all. I would just run you all through a very short, brief presentation on the Nutrition and Nutraceutical Research Center of the Ramaiah University of Applied Sciences. I think I request Dr. Jamuna Prakash to please switch off the slide share. Dr. Jamuna Prakash, please, I request you to switch off your slide share.
Sure.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, I think I have done it. I switched it off.
Yes, ma'am. I'll switch on mine.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Good morning, one and all. the NNRC, or the Nutrition and Nutraceutical Research Center, which is a part of the Ramaiah University of Applied Sciences, was established in the year 2016 under the able mentorship of Dr. V. Prakash. Dr. V. Prakash chaired a meeting where faculty members discussed their ideas, and this faculty discussion, which Dr. Prakash had with us, led to a vision which envisions the role of NNRC. This vision actually led us to address issues of health and wellness and improve nutrition through foods for reaching a population through industries on a science-based approach with nutritionals and nutraceuticals across a broad spectrum of the population, that is from pediatrics to geriatrics. Through this, our mission is to use innovative and science-based approaches to combine foods with specific nutritionals and nutraceuticals. The focus is on indigenous ingredients, achieving acceptable sensorial qualities, and being able to scale up these products for production. Our objectives include exploring the health benefits in local sustainable products, pursuing innovation-based research for the development of bioavailable, fortified and enriched food, which is organoleptically acceptable and provides general immunity, prophylactic and therapeutic benefits. And to create awareness on the use of nutritionals and nutraceuticals, to enhance public-private partnership for commercialization of the laboratory level successes for scale up, and to enhance capacity building. Now, the question was, how are we going to achieve this? Well, Dr. Prakash showed us the way. He said, join hands, and that is the way. Don't work in isolation. He made us realize that RUS, that is Ramaiah University of Applied Sciences, has so much to offer. We have various departments in the university: food science and technology, which has nutritionists and food technologists, pharmacists who have expertise in drug design and development, and chefs with expertise in the hospitality and catering technology in this industry, in the food sector. Not only that, we have the Central Research Labs, which is attached to Ramaiah Medical College, which has the capacity to conduct clinical trials. We have NABL accredited labs, which have state-of-the-art facilities to test food and drug samples. And we have our Ayurvedic research division. And in addition, we have the Ramaiah Incubation Center. Now, this was an opportunity. So we looked at it and we saw that, yes, not only does our team have expertise, we also have facilities at RUS, and I'm displaying the facilities that we have in our labs, that is the food technology labs, pharmacy, as well as at our Faculty of Hospitality Management and Catering Technology, where we have very, very advanced kitchen facilities. Now, in addition to research, we also took up initiatives to promote organics and millets, and this was done in association with the Karnataka State Department of Agriculture of the Government of Karnataka. We have conducted a workshop in July 2017, which had scientific talks, panel discussions, demonstrations, exhibitions, and it was well attended by dietitians, nutritionists, students, researchers, and industry professionals. The team educated them on creative ways of preparing and presenting millets to attract consumers of all age groups. All the categories of hotels in Bengaluru introduced millets in their menus and into their buffets. This was done when we had a culinary symposium where we actually introduced millets and how we can do it in develop creative, innovative dishes. Our team of chefs demonstrated to the chefs, taught them, and that was when they realized that, yes, we can introduce them into hotel menus. It was a turning point in the buffet culture of the Bengaluru hotels. In 2018, we organized a workshop for budding entrepreneurs. The beauty of this was we did not target only urban entrepreneurs. We even brought in people from rural areas, trained them, and in collaboration with Food Karnataka Limited, we actually organized this workshop. We also associated with ICRISAT, that is the International...
Priya, sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
The slides are not moving. Your slides. Your slides are not moving.
Okay. Are you able to see now? Shirin, if you could tell me where we are on your...
We're on the first slide. It says workshop on introducing smart food.
Okay. So I'll be here. This is the slide.
It doesn't seem to be moving for some reason.
You can stop share and again share, madam.
Okay, I'll stop share. Sorry, I'd like to apologize to all the participants. There is some problem. I will reshare my screen. My apologies. I'm just trying. Sorry to... Shirin, are you able to see the screen?
Yes, yes, Priya. But you'll have to slide show it.
Is this better?
No.
Not yet.
Press F5. F5. Yeah.
If you hit F5, it may...
Yes, it is on F5. Shall I?
Yeah. Please continue, Priya.
I'll just come down then. Give me a minute.
Yes.
Sorry to, I would like to apologize to all the participants. Please bear with this. There is a slight technical defect. First of all, my apologies to everybody present, participating, because I'm so sorry there was a technical glitch and I need to start again. I'm very sorry about that. I'll run you through a journey which takes you right from 2016 to 2020, where we started NNRC, that is the Nutrition and Nutraceutical Research Center of Ramaiah University of Applied Sciences, which was established under the mentorship of Dr. V. Prakash. He chaired a meeting where faculty members discussed their ideas, and this led to a mission which addresses issues of health, wellness, and improved nutrition through foods for reaching its population through the industries on a science-based approach with nutritionals and nutraceuticals across the spectrum of pediatrics to geriatrics in the society. To do this, our mission is to use innovative and science-based approaches to combine foods with specific nutritionals and nutraceuticals. The focus is on indigenous ingredients, achieving acceptable sensorial qualities, and being able to scale up these products for production. Our objectives include exploring the health benefits in local sustainable produce, pursuing innovation-based research for development of bioavailable, fortified, and enriched food, which is organoleptically acceptable and provides general immunity, prophylactic, and therapeutic benefits to create awareness on the use of nutritionals and nutraceuticals, to enhance public-private partnership for commercialization of the laboratory level successes for scale-up, and to enhance capacity building. Like I said earlier, there was a big question mark, and that was, how are we going to achieve this? And that was when Dr. Prakash showed us the way. He said, join hands, don't work in isolation. Ramaiah University has various departments, and some of them are the Department of Food Science and Technology, which has expertise in food technology as well as nutrition. It has pharmacists who are experts in drug design and development, and chefs with vast experience in hospitality industry. Not only that, we have the Central Research Lab, which has the capacity to conduct clinical trials, NABL accredited labs, that is, which has state-of-the-art facilities to test food and drug samples, our Ayurvedic Research Division, and an incubation center. We have state-of-the-art facilities in our Food Science and Technology Division, as well as Pharmacy College, and we also have very good facilities in the Faculty of Hospitality Management, where we conduct food trials. We've also set up a sensory evaluation lab, which helps us to assess the organoleptic properties of the developed products. In 2017, we associated with the Karnataka State Department of Agriculture to promote millets. NNRC has conducted a large number of workshops and symposia to train professionals from the food and beverage industry as well as health sectors. A workshop conducted in 2017 had scientific talks, exhibitions, panel discussions, and demonstrations, and was attended by dietitians, nutritionists, academicians, researchers, chefs, and F&B entrepreneurs. The team educated them on creative ways of preparing and presenting millets to attract customers of all age groups. All categories of hotels in Bengaluru decided to introduce millets on their menus and buffets, and this was the turning point in the buffet culture of Bengaluru hotels. The team reached out to entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs, not just from urban areas, but also from rural areas of Karnataka in association with Food Karnataka Limited. They joined hands with ICRISAT, that is the International Crop Research for Institute for Semi-Arid Tropics, and KSDA. And they have reached out to create awareness amongst not just the F&B, that is the food and beverage fraternity, but also amongst industrial canteen owners and workers. We also did something very, very different. And that was, we were the first ones in India to actually organize a smart food reality show for young chefs. The results were beyond our expectations. This had actually sparked the imagination of these young creative minds. And it was amazing the kind of things, products that they came out with, which industry professionals realized that they could introduce onto their hotel menus. In addition, our team has also worked on replacement of sugar with natural ingredients like stevia, and this was in the pursuit to develop low glycemic index products. A few of our members of NNRC have presented their research work at the 19th World Congress of Food Science and Technology, which was organized by IUFOST. ICRISAT, that is the International Congress Institute for Semi-Arid Tropics, signed an MOU with NNRC to conduct research and create awareness on smart food. Research activities are being conducted on the potential of malted millets, as well as assessing the nutritional value and the acceptance of millet dishes. In January this year, we organized a 3-day national conference on health and wellness through nutrition and nutraceuticals at the Ramaiah Medical College. NNRC associated with the Ramaiah Medical College, the Institute of Ayurveda, also with ASFTI, that is the Association for the Scientists of India, Food Scientists of India. We had a number of themes, and that was challenges in the food chain, novel and functional foods in health, food enrichment through nutrients, nutritional security, health and wellness, the Ayurveda way, also bioactive molecules and nutraceuticals in pharma for healthcare, as well as marketing safe and healthy food the ethical way. We had distinguished speakers who are internationally acclaimed, and we had almost 40 speakers who actually gave their valuable contributions. We had participation of industry, academicians, as well as government representatives. And this carefully curated program, which was led by Dr. Prakash again, had panel discussions, plenary sessions, as well as presentations, and that is poster presentations, as well as paper presentations. Right now, our team is working on the replacement of traditionally used bakery fats with novel specialty shortening for healthy and nutritious baked products, enrichment of food with probiotics, convenience foods with micronutrients and nutraceuticals, gluten-free products, as well as plant-based food. We have plans to go ahead with, to take this forward, to take NNRC forward, using industry and academia interface. We would like to do it in the form of consultancy and collaborative research. We would also love to train with whatever expertise we have. We would love to train industry professionals. We also would like to go into product development, incubation, and entrepreneurship. And this is all our plans include strengthening our interface with food and beverage and nutraceutical industries in bringing health and wellness to the society. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Ms. Priya Arjun, for taking us through the journey of NNRC. Moving on to scientific session 4, which is the vision talk by the Revered Dr. Vish Prakash, President of IUFOST, former distinguished scientist and director CFTRI, CSIR, Padma Shri awardee, and much more, whom you already know. Dr. Prakash will be talking about health and wellness from food. I invite you, Dr. Prakash, for the vision talk. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for really educating me on the 3 talks that we heard in the morning. And obviously, after the inauguration, the first talk by Dr. Jindal covered a huge perspective of the role of nutrition in the entire system of operation, very clearly on to the need of the industry. And it was very well put by Dr. Jindal in terms of working clearly to the goals, which is one of the mission of NNRC, basically, as you just saw a few slides from Priya Arjun. This was followed by a wonderful talk by Professor Jimana Prakash on the nutrition and the knowledge of nutrition, and how a very clear mandate that was never set for the role of nutrition in today's pandemic. People never realized that COVID and nutrition are related. People thought the only way to fight COVID is by vaccine. But I don't think we can wait for so long for vaccine, and the body has itself an antibody that it can fight through, and therefore use nutrition as a weapon against COVID was very clearly brought out with the basic knowledge of nutrition, both for the common man and the scientist and the industries and the academia. This very well intertwined with what Dr. Jindal said about level 1, level 2, level 3 of academia, research and industry. Dr. Priya Arjun covered it all as to the birth of NNRC, which was born by an informal meeting and then was formalized very quickly. And then I don't believe in both either rail transport or road transport, neither on the train track in terms of the normal protocol. My call for NNRC at that time was fly. If you want to reach distant places, fly. And therefore, today they are what you saw into a very different realm. And in that, in my next maybe 20 minutes talk, I would try to link up the today's need of industry, the business, the money, the need of nutrition, starting from production of food, followed by the 4 sectors of food and agro business. Then how India is today a leader in nutraceuticals. Nobody wants to cover, neither in the New York Times or anywhere else, how India is number 1. And therefore, it is good that in a webinar like this, we will at least talk about it scientifically. Why India, how India, and what India did to be number 1 in nutraceutical. Number 4 would be to kind of distinction being there between nutrition and nutraceuticals. And this distinction vanished after COVID came in. We always require an external impetus to merge 2 differentiating systems. And this was one great example. I will end my talk with a clear mandate of a few spurts of orchestrated symphony that I would like to do in the end in terms of scientific business from nutraceutical and the business of science from the nutraceuticals. And how do we go forward in it for giving an absolute health and wellness. I consider very clearly health is up to the neck, and beyond that is wellness. And that is unlimited. And therefore, wellness and health is something which we need to really end upon. The world of wellness, the headquarters, I predict, is going to be India. And just like Jindal said, Dr. Jindal said, 722 billion in 2027. If you want to buy the stock market of nutraceuticals, buy it today. This is the time. This is the time. When I say stock market, not in the New York Stock Exchange, neither in the Bombay Stock Exchange, but in the knowledge domain of how do we really invest our money into this field. So with that, let me start with production of food. You can't talk of nutraceuticals, you can't talk of nutritional, you cannot talk of health, you cannot talk of integrated medicine and care unless you have a fantastic agriculture and don't not to beg any other country, especially when you have weather and climate perfectly in tune with you. And you have to capitalize it 24/7 from one end of the country to the other end. There are a lot of other countries who are participating here and they can do a very similar job, and many of them have done it already. A good example is Malaysia. So therefore, when production of food comes in, the farmer and the farm will play a major role. It is not that a political decision or a policy decision, you grow certain food here in this soil. I'm sorry, that's not the way it works. Jasmine rice from Thailand or basmati rice from India will not grow in somewhere in a soil in Australia. It's very difficult. You have to do a lot of genetic engineering to make it happen. But take this plant and put there, take a seed and put there. No, it won't. So therefore, the soil plays a major role, and we must make sure that the matching between the soil and the crops, which is done for more than 5,000 years in a country like India, is not capitalized, is not having a database, is not having a big data. What are we sitting upon? We call ourselves an IT country. I'm shocked and surprised. What an amount of information we have for 5,000 years. It's impossible. And these are documented by the by. These are written down. This is not by orally transmitted from one person to the other to the next generation, but written down in documents. So therefore, it is important to create a big data on production of food. India grows about 5,000 different kinds of food crops, basically, including fruits and vegetables I'm talking. And therefore, this has to be capitalized of how to make the production 10 times more. Apart from Professor Swaminathan's Green Revolution, we need to really look at boosting different crops to different levels by silo effect and then integrating on the top to a stable business. Otherwise, your business of nutraceuticals, business of nutritional, and the business of health and wellness and integrated planning will collapse without the agriculture supporting it on a platform. So this is the first point that we all have to remember. Therefore, NNRC has a major requirement of handholding with agricultural universities. If they don't handhold with agricultural universities and consider agricultural university is not a mandate to be handheld, we may miss a bus. And for you, it is very good. The University of Agricultural Sciences is next to your door. And when we really look at these opportunities around the world, each of the academia we are talking has to have a hand-holding with an agricultural academia. Very important. Secondly, we need to also reach the farmer in a very informal way. Your lab research on agriculture may not be received well with the farmer, and the farmer wants simple languages. When you go out to try to teach to him, you will be shocked he is teaching to you, because he has learned over hundreds of generations how to sow, how to reap, and how to be expecting minimum. But when you get a bumper crop, you don't run away from agriculture. So therefore, agriculture, production, productivity, involvement of huge amount of experience from generation to generation to lock into today's scientific world and try to capitalize on that. This model is very important for NNRC and so also for others in terms of soil, seed, and strategy. I call it. What do you call as 3S? 3S can be a great company today, along with the huge innovation that has taken place with the drone technology. And therefore, it is important when you look at the production and productivity, the whole world talks about 4 sectors. What are they? The grain sector, which we talk about, rice or paddy and sorghum, soybean, maize, and so on and so forth, millets, pulses, and so on. The second sector is fruits and vegetables. Generally, fruits are not cooked. Fruits are eaten raw and vegetables are cooked. So therefore, this is a big sector. What happened in the grain sector? What happened in the fruits and vegetable sector? And the third sector is meat, fish, and also, very importantly, the poultry sector. And it is vital when we think of all these three sectors. There's a dairy sector. 4 sectors in any country you label, that's it. There's nothing more than these 4 sectors. Can you believe India is leading in 2 sectors? Number 1, for 18 years, India is the king of milk. It produces 200 million tons, non-stop, 24 by 7. And it's fantastic, the products that come out of it. So a lot of effort was really done by the Korean in booming that complete sector into an organized sector. What was the single mission that was done? The cow doesn't come to the veterinary hospital. The veterinary hospital doctor goes to the cow. That's all what was done. No high science, no rocket science. So it is not taking mountain to Abu. It is Abu goes with the knowledge of mountain to the farmer. That's all. It's very simple. And therefore today, it is impossible to conquer India. We are far, far away in the peak beyond Mount Everest. But that doesn't mean India should keep quiet and be happy and enjoy the luxury. No, we need to diversify, invest in product and go forward. With all this, the second one, India is almost number 1 in the next about 1 year or so is fruits and vegetable production. We are beating Brazil shortly, and it's a great celebration of a rainbow agriculture. And therefore, of course, other things like we are number 1 in poultry, and with more than about 8,000 kilometers of coastline, we are almost getting into fish, into somewhere in the number 1, number 2 position. Of course, grains, we are almost number 3 position, but we will move on. But the one sector that other countries are lacking, and India has that, is the spices, condiments, and herbs. For ages, the Himalayan base, the Western Ghats base, the Northeast base, all those areas grow spices, herbs, and also condiments. And of course, the imperialistic rule came to India, not for the wealth of India in gold, but for the wealth of India in spices. And therefore, this is one that we must remember. We are still number 1. We were 88% about 50 years back. We are now 65% number 1 in the world with all these spices, condiments, and herbs. And therefore, it is not a surprise that we really, it has to shake hands, especially NNRC for future, with Indian Institute of Plantation Management, which is across Bangalore, and say, hey, we want to shake hands with you for knowing what are these plantation crops, how do we value add to that, beyond coffee and tea I'm talking. So therefore, the origin of nutraceuticals and herbaceuticals comes from the agricultural domain of rich production. Please remember this. And therefore, we should really go forward as a leader in nutraceutical. When this was delivered as a convocation address in 2001, I had this idea that India has to lead in nutraceuticals. There was no looking back. There is no funding. So in 2008, we had the first draft of the regulation. I was not appointed as a committee member by either FSSA or anybody. We did our own job at CFTRI. And of course, later on it was recognized. And in 2017, when I was made as to quit that committee because I finished my job, I quit it because it was gazetted in the Indian Gazette. A committee's job is not to give a report and run away. The committee's job is to establish a system and then run away. And you should not belong to that afterwards. So therefore, the first nutraceutical regulation in the world came from India. Again, India number one. It's unbelievable how many places we are number one. But that doesn't mean that we will rest back and enjoy the time. But it is important in 2020, we should look at how do we capitalize this knowledge, focusing on nutraceutical, nutritional from the NNRC with the global networking that we are talking today with about 600 people calling in for this Zoom meeting. It is unbelievable how much interest is there. And do we really would like to capitalize on each one of the participants, even though all of them are not visible? But I think, yes, there is a need. There is an absolute need. If the faculty divide themselves into about 50 of the Zoom participants and write an email to each of the 50 because you have your email, maybe you're going to network in a different way, never ever heard of. So therefore, how do we make a strategy in terms of not only capitalizing on the nutrition knowledge, just how Professor Jamana Prakash said, but also on the knowledge of the inner engineering of the body, which is controlled by microbiomes. And my gut feeling, GUT, capital, is those 6 trillion organisms in the stomach is going to decide what you are, whether you are at the pediatric level or at the geriatric level. The more you get aged, the more lessening will be those gut microbiome. So you need to really have a gut feeling of how much microbiome is there in terms of communicating with the brain. And today we know, the latest in 2020, December I'm talking, the thought that you get that you want to eat something is not from the brain, it's from the gut microbiome signal to the brain. Can you believe that army of microbiomes in the stomach will be the deciding factor what you want to eat? So therefore, they need the nutrition, they need the nutraceutical, and these microbiomes have to be fed. And if you are starving those microbiome, you may be full of food in your stomach. It's of no use to you at all. It's of no use to you at all. You need to have food to enrich those microorganisms. It's not just prebiotics or probiotics, but a colorful plate. Some food that you have eaten when you are young, maybe when you are 10 years old, you ate something. You eat after a long gap of maybe 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, you eat again. Some happiness comes to you. It's not your happiness, it is the gut microbiome happiness indirectly. So therefore, keep that system of inner engineering to microbiome productivity day by day to keep it about 6 trillion microorganisms, which are all beneficial to you. Keep that army going to protect your body. I'm not going to go into a lecture on immunity today. That's another subject. But the first important area to be remembered, as Jindal said, is the mother's milk, which was thought to be completely devoid of nutrient. It's only contains some water, like a whey, protein whey, in the dairy sector, was totally dismantled and created a situation that the first 6 months, the mother has to give milk, basically. So I think it is here that the concept of immunity arose, and the nutraceuticals and the nutritionals came up very efficiently. And there we are. I see Dr. Jindal's grandchild in his hand. Great, great. We are very happy. That is the future of NNRC, Priya Arjun and Govind Kadambi. A wonderful, wonderful young, baby. We talked about mother's milk. She's so happy because she has mother's milk. And with that nurturing, the future from pediatrics to geriatric, NNRC should also look into shaking hands with equals. We must realize we feel sometimes small to reach the big and say, what do they think if we ask for a hand? I don't think so. It is true of many academia, many colleges in the world, many of the institutions, there is a shyness. And at the most, what may happen when you write, somebody will say, I'm sorry, you are too small. I cannot shake hands with you. Wait, grow up. After a year or two, again write a letter. Now I think I'm grown up a little. Do you consider me to shake hands? And chances are less, still you're rejected. But don't leave it. Pursue, pursue. But with hard work of growth. Without growth, it won't happen. And finally, you will find you will not write letters, but others will write letters to you. Can we shake hands? And that's what has happened today. If you see what Priyarjun showed the slide, it has come to a stage where there may be a lot of hand-holding required, but don't reject that offer. It is important that we accept both from the top and the bottom to be very helpful to institutions for each of them to grow ultimately together. With that, I would also say that international collaborations are very important and a lot of effort should be put by the marketing division of the RUAS to promote NNRC, which for some reason was very low key last year because of COVID. But I think it is time when the COVID is reducing in number by the middle of next year, there should be a very, very targeted strategy plan to sign international agreement of a different nature altogether for academia, industry, academia R&D, and academia government, and all other parameters. My last but one portion of the talk will be focused on traditional wisdom and practices, and this need to be very clear with modern scientific tools. It is not correct in that traditional wisdom must be proved by modern science. Modern science is not a custodian of traditional wisdom. Modern science has come only now. But traditional wisdom can use the modern tools, scientific tools, to raise itself up into a different orbit. And that's where evidence-based science is very important today. Both the reverse pharmacology for pharmacists using traditional herbal medicines which various hilly tribal regions use, and reverse it as a pharmacy drug, ultimately by extracting the pure component. But the holistic approach is lost. And therefore, the scientific-based evidence is very important. And in that comes the future belongs to herbaceuticals, and the production of nutra ingredients in bulk is India's big advantage, which we are not even doing except for a few people. We are number one in the production of herbaceuticals in the world, but it goes as a raw material, dried leaf, dried tubers, dried stem, dried fruits, dried roots. I feel very ashamed. I feel very sad. We have so many engineers. Why they are not working on it? They don't even know that such a thing. I'm sure there are not many non-food engineers who are here in this group. Why? They think it is not required for me. It is those engineers who are attending this will be the tomorrow's game changers. Therefore, it is important to network with people who are not in this field, who have nothing to do with food, who have nothing to do with nutraceutical, who have nothing to do with nutritional. It is they who have to be in this seminar. And we have to completely downgrade them and say, hey, you had an opportunity. Nobody else has an opportunity. You can be a billionaire. Can you put your effort into this? We are ready to give our way halfway. So I think it is here the monolithic, monopolistic manufacture of drug raw material, what China has done. We should learn from that model. How did they do? And get into nutraceutical production bulk. We are talking about export of about 300 billion nutraceutical export raw material. Not the leaves, but the extracts of that holistic approach. So therefore, it is 99% of turmeric that is exported from India doesn't go as a spice. It goes for drug manufacture, basically. So therefore, can we not make that and export is the question I'm asking. So it is a marriage between the entire spice agri industry and the pharma. And that's what we need to do today. And of course, a few companies are there. So therefore, in the first 1,000 days of this center, let us take quickly the last point of business from science and science for business agenda. When you look at a paper being published either from NNRC or from Ramaya University or from many other universities who are participating here, this is the quote unquote a scientist will write a paper because the journal has regulated him to write like this. Why I am telling this is you need to communicate to the people in the right language. You just send a reprint of yours. You say you have published it, please read it. Your sentence looks like this: 10 grams of C6H6O6 plus into 2 sucrose made from so-and-so company, India, Mumbai, in 100 ml of water distilled in quartz glass apparatus bought from Corning, ... Stir with a paddle wheel with about 4 inches blade made from company in UK, India, and a 6 inches paddle wheel to stir it, and the temperature was maintained at 25 degrees. To this solution was added 12 grams of milk powder weighed in a Mettler balance, London, Switzerland, and spray dried at a particular temperature. This is then mixed for 5 minutes in a rocker-made system with a clear mandate of watching the time exactly for 5 minutes, cool it in a gradient cooler model so-and-so. And finally, this was tested on 12 sensory evaluation groups on a hedonic scale, and one of them was accepted. So this is the paper materials and methods that you read. What do? You go to sleep if you don't understand that. So how does everybody become a scientist? They need not. It is the job of the scientist. Whenever you publish a paper, publish an abstract in the most simple language. To the common man, to the politician, one different, to the policy maker, another different, to the industries in a different language. If you don't show money there, industry will not come near you. Who cares for your ideas? Does it give me money is the question. That's true. Why should any industry work on losses? Not possible. And news media, traders, teachers, training the trainers, kitchen, big kitchenettes, community kitchen, chefs, as Priya mentioned, and a huge amount of other people in their language. And to simplify that whole thing, I would like to read how I would summarize that paper. Add a spoon of sugar to a bowl of water and stir well and keep it aside for 5 minutes. Add a spoon of milk powder and different flavors and give it to a group to evaluate. Don't you understand this? I'm sure you didn't understand my first para when I read 10 grams of sugar, etc., etc. So you publish your paper, you prosper, you take patents out of it, you make PhD degrees for your students, and you also make it much more attractive. But when you translate that to a simple language, without sacrificing the science in it, but not confusing enough, to a common man, this one. Whereas for a policymaker, you will say, the best vehicle for milk is flavoring the milk in different flavors. Then somebody else, as Jindal said, will not come with a nut milk and make us nut. So it is important for us to use different languages for different segment of the reach out and target population of the same science you have done. We try to enclose 5 reprints and send it somewhere. Nobody will read. Even the journal which published, the editor will not read because it is very important. That is another level, and you have to bring down that level without losing anything. And how do you call a press conference and give the information to the press in their language? And they have an art to write to reach out to different segments. How do you talk to a lawyer if somebody has infringed your patent? And therefore, try to learn the art of writing. However complicated thing you have published, Try to always translate to a paragraph which is good, keep it with you. Use it at the right time. This is very important. This is not taught in any university. This is neither being a practice of scientists. It is very important. How do you explain it to your grandmother what research you are doing? Imagine that. And she will say, I think you made a mistake. You added milk powder to hot milk. You all know what happens when you add hot milk powder. It will paste, right? So therefore, there are certain issues that need to be looked at, and that is where capacity building is important. NNRC should focus in the next 2 years in capacity building of students. Today, the catering students are there, and they wouldn't really worry about this NNRC. But NNRC has to formally give degrees in their own field to different people at different level of undergraduates, graduates, masters, and it's a huge army that they have to produce per year. And therefore, it is important to network the networking, information to the industry reaching, and most importantly, I would like to close my talk by telling the country at this juncture requires a lot of R&D, and that investment that is required in the research and development. Why can't NNRC and RUAs combine hands with people like All India Food Process Association, who are so close to budget time at this time? It is not easy to get Jindal at this time because this is a budget time. He'll be always talking for industries, for R&D, with the budgeting system of the Government of India in terms of revised budget, in terms of new budget ideas for February 1st. So therefore, this is a segment which requires investment. If India has to reap the profit of catching all that $722 billion and not agree for $600 billion. Loot to bandar na loot do. It is very important for us to really then you may come down to 400, 300 and so on. So the last point I would like to make is the Ayurveda, which has the heritage of 5,000 years, has done a lot of work on human trials already. Where is the question of doing again human trials? Ayurveda, for the benefit of outsiders from this country, it is a traditional wisdom, like the traditional Indian medicine is basically based on certain segments of systems of medicine. Today it includes in a way homeopathy also, and Siddha, and also Unani. And basically it is fantastic when one sees the principles are all coming from the natural ingredient of herbaceuticals. That's all. They all come from there. And it's a lifestyle itself, as Professor Jamna Prakash said. It is not just another area. It is a lifestyle. None of them are you go in and go out. No, you go in forever. You go in forever. And that will be preventive. Along with nutrition, there will be preventive, and also to a large extent postpones the genetic diseases that you have. Suppose you are prone to diabetes, with certain lifestyle changes, including what I said, and of course with exercise, you can postpone your diabetes onset and celebration of the coming in of the diabetes in tomorrow to 5 years from now. Why not? 10 years from now. At the age of 95, get all diseases. It doesn't matter. You need a reason to quit this world. So therefore, disease delaying foods is so important today. It is a health and wellness area that people are jumping in. But India is the storehouse of that. South Asia is the storehouse of that. Jump into that. Even if you don't know swimming, jump into the pool. It is very important. So therefore, it is vital that documentation and epidemiology should be taken back into digitization and look at information technology explosion with that and try to capitalize in the best way possible. And also look at how we can achieve all this with the Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is a great sentence that our Prime Minister has said, that you should have self-confidence and a self-motivation. And you have to have that responsibility to stay on your leg and not beg. It is very important to stand on one's leg than begging. And therefore, it is important on this COVID and pandemic area. We have taken up this important area and convert the needful products that the industry is manufacturing, not just a couple of chocolates, not just a couple of sandwiches, not just a fast food restaurant, but a changing lifestyle restaurants, a changing lifestyle pandemic, I call it. And that pandemic has to be contagious. And therefore, it is vital. The spirit of nutrition and nutraceuticals is not that of just talking science. That is required. It is absolutely essential. But to handhold with industries to move forward. And I think in this, the personalized population and planetary nutrition and with nutraceuticals, of course, will be the health of the cosmos and the wellness of the cosmos ultimately. And if the cosmos is stable and the climate is stable, we are stable. You just saw in the last one year, if the cosmos is not stable, you can't do anything. The biggest powers are suffering today. And therefore, it is very important for us to realize you can't disturb the eco situation of the nature. So one has to holistically live, holistic approach, and try to be under an influence of what need to be done and how it can be done and how best you can synchronize sequestering carbon footprint to a minimum in each of your thinking. And it is not easy. It is very difficult. I know that. So therefore, with that, I might draw a conclusion to my talk with the message. Without industry, a country cannot survive. If we only think scientific research can save us, God only should save us. Scientific research is required. It is required. How does ISRO put its own rocket in the orbit? It is due to the scientific work, but then somebody has to manufacture that. But they're not manufacturing 10,000 rockets a day. But in food, the volume is important. If you don't produce about 1 to 2 lakhs a day packets, then you can't survive. The volume speaks. Whether it is a cottage industry, household industry, women industry, a papad, lijat, or even if it is a medium scale industry and a small scale industry, with All India Food Process Association is so well geared up to integrating them with the global industry, integrating them with the cottage industry, and looking at the holistic chain of food is so important. Without industry, your research application is not there. So without hand-holding industry, and industry is coming forward to support research, to support, and you may lose some money in some projects, but you will gain it overall. So therefore, it is a plea from me, a call from me to the industries to invest in academia. And it is a call from me for the R&D institutions and academia to link up with industry and do the relevant work what the industry needs. You may say that it's very selfish. Don't worry. There is nothing selfish here. Ultimately, they will produce a product and it will reach the people. They may reap the profit. Doesn't matter. Let them use it to the best purpose. So I think it's here. We have a long role a very large role to play in a long rope. And how do we do that? Is by linking. And lastly, I would like to say, don't go to sleep unless you review today's mission. What did I achieve in Nutraceutical Center? Those who are in charge of it must get sleepless situation for half an hour. What did I do today? Did I move forward? Did I not move forward? So I think this is very important. If day-to-day monitoring is there, I don't believe in weekly monitoring. It is a lazy person's monitoring method. Day to day, sunrise to sunset. What did I achieve today? Did I move? No, I didn't move. That means I'm backward. So add -1. So this 25 silver jubilee, if you don't think every day about NNRC, can be -2,500 NNRC. So we are proud of Silver Jubilee, but we may be real calculation wise minus 2,500. So therefore, the absolute numbers are important and we should really look at it. So it is important for us to think and think every day, every day. Every day have a rule game. Have I visited this chamber? I'll close my talk by this small Indian, very old saying. There is a room of happiness, there is a room of business, there is a room of finance, there is a room of learning, and there is a room of eating, and there is a room of cleaning yourself. No day goes in your life without visiting all these rooms in your house. Am I right? It's a very simple formula. When you are hungry, you go to the kitchen. When you want to clean up yourself, you go to the bathroom. So without visiting these rooms, you can't sleep. So similarly, you have a cubicle where you can visit every day what you need to achieve in NNRC. And if you do so, you obviously can be number one in the world, not only in science and technology and scale up, but also in ideas. And what you cannot do, somebody else can do. And don't expect that everything can be done by you. There are limitations. So with that, what a great opportunity it is to learn from people like Dr. Jindal, Dr. Jairam, Dr. Srinivas Murthy, Dr. Kadambi, Professor Jamuna Prakash, and also Priya Arjun really captured the last 1,000 days of NNRC. Very well done. And I think I mentioned in the beginning, when myself and Jindal, we were talking, he said, you inspire people. I said, I normally perspire people if they complain. So I hope I have not exceeded my limits of making you worried and miss your sleep. Have a wonderful day, wonderful new year, and a good Christmas season for those of you. And in 2021, I wish you all the best with good health, safe health, and a secure health with a clear mandate of boosting your immunity from within. And don't wait for that vaccine, which may or may not reach you by the December of 2021, not 2020, 2021. So I think it is important that we should stand on our boosting immunity. As you heard from the previous speaker, don't neglect it. That's the only investment you can do right now in pandemic. And I think if it has protected you and made you come to this seminar in all these 9 months, follow the next 9 months footsteps what you did. I think much more rigorously and not giving a slang to it at this point of time. Wish you a very safe next year, 2021. And with that, we move on to the next part of the program. I would hand over the mic back to Shirin now, and I'm sure she will take us through the next agenda. Thank you, and may God bless you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Prakash. The talk was truly a vision talk coming from a visionary like yourself. So thank you once again. We will now move on to the moderated panel discussion with speakers. The chairperson of this session is Dr. V. Prakash, and the co-chairperson and moderator is Dr. K.M. Sharat Kumar, who's the Director of Research at Ramaiah University of Applied Sciences. I now hand over the forum to Dr. K.M. Sharat Kumar. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Shirin, for giving this opportunity to moderate.
Your voice has to be higher, Sharat. We are not able to hear you. You have to be closer to the computer. Otherwise, we cannot hear you.
Come here.
So, Prakash sir, with your permission, so we'll start with the first question from one of the participants.
We are not able to see the question. If we go like that, we may have difficulty. We should club and cluster that, and otherwise, how many questions are there? Can I have an idea?
There are only like 5 questions which I have clubbed actually.
Okay, so wonderful. If you're already done, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
So I'm going to pose it so that the panel's distinguished speakers can answer that. So the first question is basically there are so many nutraceutical products in the market, but the effective scientific way of checking their efficacy is what is missing. So how can public be aware of this kind of things?
Perhaps I would request Dr. Jindal to address this point because this is much more industry, production, and quality and control. Your mic is muted, Jindal. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Prakash. I think this question I have touched in my talk.
Right.
Industry has this responsibility to give what is required to be given, the way it is expected to be given, and in the name and the form it is. Here, there is a lot of leeway currently, as I gave the example of plant based milk. Because of certain reasons, a few companies across the globe are using the word milk for a plant-based beverage, which is look-alike. It is white, it is flowing. They add fats and vitamins and proteins and other things, and manufacture it to be called a milk. This will not work in the nutraceutical sector. Maybe we have to develop product and very transparent about the ingredients and the process which makes it. Again, coming back to some of the old examples like Satopala or Chyawanprash or so many things, the Rishi gave the formulation in his verse in the literature. This is the standard of accomplishment and clarity the industry has. In the food industry, the nutrition profile is required to be only indicative. But in this case, we have to be more precise. I cannot really suggest a simple thumb rule to say that a particular nutraceutical is the best. But the way forward could be to look at its ingredients. Look at the assemble of various bioelements which are there and the quantities which are mentioned there. And then if we find they are useful, we adopt it. If we find it is not or less, or there are certain additives which we do not want to be there, we should be cautious.
Okay.
That is the only way. I don't know how we can put some marks on them that this product is good or not, because they are application oriented and there will be thousands of applications, and studying for each application and identifying and marking will itself become another problem. We need regulations for that then.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you. Can I ask Professor Jamuna Prakash about her view on this point of consumer awareness of the product and how we can distinguish whether one is good or bad in nutrition products? Thank you.
In some way, the consumer has to be at least educated about that. See, one thing the industry can do is that they can maybe give an idea or a suggestion about the nutraceutical property of the product they are giving. For example, they can say that it's immune boosting or it is good for growth or whatever. But unless these are scientifically validated, these cannot be put as claims. That is not allowed at all. So it can only be a suggestion based on the information that these products have the properties. Properties can be mentioned. The claims cannot be mentioned because clinical evidence is needed. So under the scientific criteria, it will fail. But other than that, as properties, if it is mentioned on the product, then the customer has some idea about what this particular product is going to be useful for.
Okay.
Nutritionally, we don't have any issue because nutritional labeling is already done. It is only the medicinal properties which are an issue.
Okay. Thank you. We move on to the next question, Sharath.
Yes, sir. So, what are the steps taken by nutraceutical fraternity to address undernutrition and malnutrition during this pandemic?
Okay. I think the question has to be not correct. What has the agriculture done to fight this pandemic? That's the kind of question. That's not correct. What has nutraceutical industry to do with nutrition? So I would convert that into how do you relate the nutrition requirement for in this pandemic? What kind of food? And I think that can encompass the whole talk of Professor Jamuna Prakash. So how can nutraceutical industry help nutrition to fight the COVID? That's not correct question. Whatever it is, when giving the benefit of the person who was asked question, it is a good idea that I will request Professor Jamuna Prakash to very briefly answer maybe the role of zinc, the role of vitamin D, and so on in terms of COVID-19 immunity.
See, all the nutrients I already mentioned in the talk, which should be taken in the normal amount. See, even here in the COVID condition, we are only talking about the normal nutrition, which should be good enough. So we have to take all the nutrients which are important for immunity, which a list was given in the talk. Other than that, the immune boosting foods can also be added. And for that also, I gave a list of the immune boosting foods which can be used for boosting the immunity. So that is the only thing which can be done. Other than that, we do not have a particular nutraceutical addressing the undernutrition. We can address the immunity, but not the undernutrition.
Okay, great. Shall we move on to the next question, Jindal, or you have anything to add, Jindal?
No, I think we move on to the next.
We move on. Okay. I just want to add here the complexity of immunity one should understand here. An immune system you cannot control. That controls you. Remember, there are 50,000 reactions a minute in immunity. And it requires more than about 6 million molecules every minute to handle. Can you ever run a factory like that? You cannot. You cannot. So it is, we just don't know many things of immunity today. Because of COVID, we are coming to know everything one by one, one by one. It is not that one particular component you take and you will be boosting your immunity, because you just don't know. This is the cause and effect. That is, if there are black clouds, there is going to be rain. Chances are good. But there are black clouds for 100 days. There are no rain sometimes. So therefore, it is important for us to understand the complex nature of immunity that the body can handle involuntarily without asking your permission and bureaucracy. The body goes on. Even if you feed them 50 molecules, it somehow manages to convert them. The original molecule that has entered your body can never be traced back again. It is converted, broken, remodeled. If you take a protein, the complete hydrolysis takes place, amino acids, and then another enzyme is created. And that's how immunity works. It has got its own factory of small scale, large scale, cottage industry, village industry, medium scale, global scale, and mega scale. It has its own way. So therefore, I think a food-based approach, eat a colorful food plateful as much. But if somebody says eat a little bit more of certain thing that contains a better nutraceutical, you can indulge in that. For example, if turmeric is supposed to boost immunity, there is nothing known fact that how much immunity is boosted by how many grams of turmeric. Okay, if resveratrol is going to take care of platelet aggregation in the body by negative way, how much of resveratrol you have to take? You have to take 35 bottles of wine a day. That is a nutraceutical, resveratrol. Can you take 35 bottles of wine a day? Your liver will go fat. You will not leave next day. So I think we have to have a food-based approach. Then it will not be toxic. Body takes whatever is needed and there is no toxicity. And you don't require food regulators to stop you from taking it. If you eat a radish, who will prevent you? Will the inspector come and stop you from eating? I don't think so. So make it a food-based approach. And of course, for clinical cases, it should be a clinical route because it's a serious situation. But normal person, try to be on a food-based approach as much, unless you have a clinical problem of a different kind. So with that, I think we move on to the third question, Sharath.
Yeah, so this is basically a follow-up question. So how about, again, it's a loud thought. So how about nutraceuticals mentioning recommended dietary allowances of nutrients on nutraceutical products?
I think we have almost answered that. And unless something can be added to that, both Dr. Jindal, Dr. Jamuna Prakash and Priya Arjun, if anything can be added. Otherwise, we move on to the next. Yeah, it looks like we already answered that. We knew the question was leaked, I think. So we knew the question. So, yes, Jindal.
Adding a little bit to the thought.
Please.
You see, recommendatory allowances defining is rather a tricky and complex matter, just mentioned by Dr. Prakash in some ways, because so much is happening in the body and it is happening differently for different people, different lifestyles, different ages, infant, child, adult, geriatrics, a physical activity person, a sports person, a sedentary lifestyle person. In fact, this error has happened in the regulatory platform, that some people think that everything can be fixed. Protein can be fixed for everybody, sugar can be fixed for everybody, salt can be fixed for everybody. This actually cannot happen. Therefore, thinking that we can fix the nutrition content or nutrients content for certain daily allowances, it can be only indicative and maybe in a range. It cannot be specified.
Right.
We will be going the wrong way actually to do.
Right. And with that, I would like to say, I thought only cricket matches can be fixed and not the regulatory requirement of how much nutraceutical you have to take, how much turmeric you have to take. You have to take around 0.25 grams to about 0.75 grams maximum per day through all your curries, through all your other means, total daily dietary intake per day, total. And if you take one shot, one capsule, you are damaging your liver. It has to be in different segments of the day. And that is also not needed, because if you once take turmeric, your intestine is coated for 9 days with turmeric. You don't have to take next 9 days. Even if you take, the body cannot take it. It has already smeared the intestine, and absorption is going on slowly, very slowly. So metabolism, catabolism is also very important to realize. Not it is a daily dose, and also an important factor is nutrition is not a vaccine, nutraceutical is not a vaccine. It is a daily dose, weekly dose, monthly dose. You don't have to take vitamin A and D every day. You have to take once in a way because it is fat soluble and stored in the body. So you require only once in a day, once in a week, maybe once in 1 month. And for children, we give vitamin A in terms of noon meal feeding once in 3 months, vitamin A dose. It stays in the body. So you can't give every day. So I think it is very important that we realize that the requirement is according to the nature. If you define everything as Dr. Jindal said and Professor Jamuna Prakash said very clearly in the talk, that this will take care of, I'm a healthy man, I pop up 22 tablets, it's all taken care, but still you will have lunch, still you will have breakfast, and then you will have a heart-filling dinner because you had less breakfast and less lunch, like today. You are a late lunch, and so therefore, so I think it is important that it is a food-based approach, and eat whatever you want to eat, but control into the level in which you want to eat. But let it be more colorful plate is the message. Let it be locally available, colorful plate. It is very important. But in spite of that, if you can take something else, like take more ginger, a little bit more ginger, add a little dash of it more, not a ton of it more. So that will destroy your system. And therefore, with the,
Maybe
yes,
Dr. Prakash, we
yeah,
add a small word
please,
here
please, please.
to what you said. Like for diet, we say take a balanced diet. For nutrients and nutraceuticals, also we'll have to follow the concept of making a
Right,
balance.
right. I always get this question in many talks. Is nutraceutical required? Suppose, can I live without nutraceutical? Why should nutraceutical industry make money by fooling us? This is a question that is asked many times. So I thought I would put it to the audience. You know, this question is a very serious question and a very valid question. I would like to say your food is not made up of proteins, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, and minerals. You mix the five of them and make a food, let me see. Nobody can eat that food. The food, you take a normal vegetable, a normal fruit, a normal grain of any kind, it total number of, I have a document here which clearly says, on an average, in a vegetarian diet or a non-vegetarian diet or a meat-based diet or an egg-based diet, we get from our normal food like rice or wheat or whatever it is, and a piece of meat or a vegetables, whatever it is spread, approximately 500 to 800 nutraceuticals a day. You don't even know that you are getting. Don't even know you are getting. And you consider carrot is only beta carotene? I'm sorry. If carrot is only beta carotene, by now industry would have made billions of dollars by mixing beta carotene and jellifying and making a carrot. No, there is a crude fiber there that will enhance an absorption differently. So anyway, it's a big story. The point take home is food contains nutraceuticals, food contains nutritionals. First basic requirement is nutrition for survival of the body. Then the nutraceutical goes along with it. If the body requires, it will take it. If the body doesn't require, it will throw it. But for people who are clinically required, there are certain things that are needed. But however, just a normal food with a little bit colorful food, you are almost getting where you have to be there. You don't have to be so much worried that I didn't take this nutraceutical. I didn't take resveratrol today. I'm a teetotaler. You should not get worried about it and not go to sleep. I think if you don't take resveratrol, you will still survive, no problem. Yeah. So that's the way it is to be looked. Dr. Jamna Prakash, you have anything to add to this before we go to the next question?
No, I think everything has been said. So I think
Okay.
it's fine.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And we go to the next question, Sharath.
Fine. So in general, the supplements are expensive. So in this pandemic scenario, so how can we bring this cost-effective immunity boosters to the market through effective supply chains?
So it's good to repeat that question because it has three segments in it, I think. Can
Yeah.
you repeat, Sharath? Thank you.
Yes, sir. So in general, these supplements are a bit expensive. And keeping the current pandemic scenario, so how can we bring effective immunity boosters through effective supply chains?
Dr. Jindal, can I request you
Yeah,
first?
thank you. One suggestion, you see, or let me say again a thought. Cost increases when we have a long supply chain. I have to put it in the market pipeline. It has to be packaged. It has to have certain, visibility of information or labeling. It has to go to a wholesaler, distributor, then transportation, logistics, and reach some retail market. So many hands. So those products which will go to a wide chain process are likely to become expensive. Okay. There is an alternative, like we do it in our region, in our temple. We have a small setup there where they make Chyawanprash, where they make Satopala, where they make a few other such immunity, giloy and tulsi and ginger and garlic and amla. Now, these are done by these people very dedicatedly, very pure form as per formulation, and distributed at very, very low cost of the materials only. So that's the lower end of it. So we'll have to find different solutions. We cannot expect Abbott or Amway to reduce their costs. It will become difficult to do that. The second thought can be that the availability of nutraceutical material, the herbs, the ingredients has to be low in cost, which is not today. That is the second way we have to approach this question.
That means the agricultural production should be high. That's what I mentioned. That is important. We need the agri production high. Okay, Professor Jamna Prakash, on this question.
See, I have talked so much about nutritious diet. I think we really don't need supplements. I told you that only in case there is a deficiency, then we need supplement. Otherwise, you don't, because you have so much of fresh fruits and vegetables around, and each one of them gives you so many kinds of vitamins, minerals. If you just change towards a healthy diet, I think you really don't need to buy supplements, and it can be only in case of some special requirements. It is not an everyday issue at all. So it is possible to have, see, like your green leafy vegetables are, I think, the cheapest among all vegetables. Your seasonal fruits are so cheap, which are really affordable. So it is possible to buy these things and make up your nutrient intake, uh, whatever is needed by the body, rather than going and buying supplement. And these also provide you all kinds of nutraceuticals. They are so rich in phytochemicals. You don't need that also again. So it is just our way of changing our eating patterns for a healthier diet that you will get everything.
Thank you. Thank you. I would like to add to this by telling an apple a day keeps the doctor away is a very well good saying, but many people cannot afford an apple because the cost we are talking in this question. But a banana a day is an old saying in some parts of the world, including India. A banana a day keeps the diseases away. Which one you want? You want the doctor away after getting the disease or before? Or no disease at all, in the sense a healthy diet. That's what it is. So I think as we discuss balanced diet and all-inclusive rainbow plate is very important. And banana is not a very costly fruit not to afford. In fact, that's something which we have to learn. And COVID has taught us the way to live with minimal, Buy a bunch of green bananas, it will serve you for 1 week in your house. And that's not too costly. Of course, below poverty line, many people cannot afford. That is the tragedy. But I think I'm talking of the average person. It is possible to reschedule your diet in such a way that you can really manage to go out less and still buy the best. Thank you. And we go to the last question, Sharat, or one more?
Yes, sir. Last question.
Okay.
Before going to that question, so of course the last question was meant only pertaining to immunity boosters, the supplements pertaining to immunity boosters. So
Okay.
that's what So question follows on. So the last question will be like views on intermittent fasting and its impact on health.
May I request Jamuna Prakash to talk about it because she has worked on it, and there are a lot of publications coming out, and tradition and wisdom is also there on that for all of it. Then I'll move on to Jindal to probably answer that. Yes, Professor Jamuna Prakash.
See, intermittent fasting is really good because you are giving rest to the digestive system. It also tends to regulate your metabolism. So traditionally, it was there in our culture of fasting once in 15 days. But now there are a lot of studies also which are proving that these fasting once in a way is very good. So I do actually advise fasting to all my clients. I say once in 15 days if possible. I also suggest that if possible in a week, replace one meal with only vegetables and fruits. That also I suggest. And I also suggest sometimes for my patients who are like, let's say, high in hypertension, I say try to have a salt-free day. One day you design food so that you have either low salt or don't add salt at all. So all these challenges are possible, and all these were built into our tradition, and these are very good for the body. But remember, fasting is only for adults. It is not for children. So adults must practice fasting, but they should not become a part for children at all. It's only for adults. Thank you.
Dr. Jindal?
I think well described by Professor Prakash. We had a well-developed system of fasting in our traditions, and some fastings were specific that one has to eat a particular diet or particular materials only, and they would give cycle to the digestive system, and some particular nutraceuticals like amaranth was used in some fasts. It would not be a fast that nothing to eat, but some specific nutrition ingredients were prescribed to be eaten. I think this culture and knowledge also needs to be researched further. It could be helpful.
Thank you. I would like to extend this question a little bit. One is fasting. The other end is more dangerous as it looks in the society. That is overeating with high calories and so on. I think the other, yes, other area is very complicated because fasting doesn't cause diseases, but overeating beyond one's capacity of fat and even protein and carbohydrate, and is not correct because it will lead to a lot of non-communicable diseases, hypertension, diabetes, and so on. So therefore, the problem is more of not practicing fasting, but it is a healthy practice. But the practice should be not to overeat more. That's the point. That's more important. And sometimes mind overtakes the body in eating. Body says, I'm done, but the mind says, no, you're not done. So that's important too. Anything to add before we close up? Can I ask both Dr. Jamna Prakash and Dr. Sharath, the question bank is over from the audience?
Yes, sir. Predominant.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. May I ask the three speakers a one-line take-home message from this webinar to our esteemed audience around the world, keeping in culture view of Malaysia to Ghana to other countries like Japan, Korea, and all. A general message, a one-line message, take-home message. May I start with Professor Jindal. Dr. Jindal, please.
Okay, thanks. I think I will say that we need to have enough awareness on the requirement of nutrition and how to organize it in a balanced meal before we go to the prepared nutraceuticals if there is a deficiency. And the second part of this would be how to link up between the different doers. Doers means the grower, the agriculture, the academics, the research, and the industry, and finally the government. They all make this chain. If it is a cohesive, cooperative, dedicated chain, then we shall succeed. These are the two sentences.
Wonderful. Very well said. Thank you, Dr. Jindal. Professor Jamna Prakash.
Yes, anytime you are eating a meal or anything, just ask a question yourself, whether whatever you are eating is healthy for your body, whether your body needs it. That one question you ask, and the answer you get decides what you are eating is healthy or not. So just do that from today itself, And you will see that slowly we change your food habits to healthy eating habits.
Thank you. I would also like to ask Priya Arjun about your take-home message.
I think our take-home message from NNRC would be to
First from yourself.
okay, that is, I think, to use indigenous products because it would, I think, it would be cost-effective and would suit the person or his needs. That would be our take-home message.
Okay, from NNRC.
I think that is from us, from NNRC and from me, sir.
Okay, wonderful. And I think I also happen to be a speaker, and I was thinking whatever I wanted to say has been said already, well said. But I would still give this point. The biggest responsibility for all of us as scientists, policymakers, administrators, etc., is communication, proper communication. Proper communication to the higher level, proper communication to the consumer level, proper communication to the industry and to the policymakers. Very important, very important. And communication down the line to the children who in terms, and today many of you may have grandchildren. We already saw Dr. Jindal's grandchild, so pretty, so pretty. And it is important for us to train them from that level to be a fantastic, healthy, and well-feeling human being. This cannot be inducted in us at this levels. I think we are gone. Our generation is gone. Look for the next generation, which can be trained to live a healthy life. And I think youngsters are very, very different now. They can use many media. And therefore, it is very important to communicate, number one. Number two is to handhold ourselves as scientists with industry through the bridge of people like Dr. Jindal and AAFPA. We need bridges. Today we are lacking the bridges, and therefore we require bridges to move forward. And that will give a fantastic, powerful tool for the globe. Be it be in Korea or Malaysia, or be it be in Ghana, the same application of two rules of good communication as well as good handholding and networking is very, very important. And that will pave the way. And your research may be of something very simple, but it can be a multi-billion-dollar product for the industry. So you never know the potential of that. And therefore, please remember, never look down upon your own research. Oh, this is not suitable for industry. You have to put in the right language. It may be one of the processing steps, that's all. That's enough. That's enough. That's a new product already in the market. So therefore, that's the way I would communicate with you. Communicate and handhold. Thank you very much. I'm now handing over back with compliments from Dr. Jindal, Dr. Jamuna Prakash, and Priya Arjun back to you, Shirin, to probably hand over the mic to Professor Kadambi. Yeah, and Sharath, I want you to also tell a take-home message because you are an academician. I wouldn't like to miss your point in the panel discussion. You are an important person. Sharath.
So basically, we need to work collaboratively and thoughtfully. So to be healthy and eat healthy, sir. So collaboratively, so we need to educate our society, educate our, it should be brought as a culture so that our future is safe.
Right. Wonderful. I think you said it all. You summarized it very well. Thank you. I hand over to Shirin to pass on the baton of panel discussion to the wrap up and final remarks by Professor Kadambi. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir. May I request you for your closing remarks,
okay.
Professor Kadambi?
Okay, respected Dr. Jindal, Dr. Prakash, and Dr. Jamuna Prakash, and Priya Arjun, and my colleagues. In fact, I always use the phrase, sometimes less is more and more is less. I think I won't call it as a individual message. I feel I'm just considering this situation like in Ramayana actually. But Hanuman was supposed to bring only Sanjeev Karni actually. But I think the Sanjeev Karni itself is embedded in a forest, and he brought the whole mountain and said, "Okay, Sushana, you take the Sanjeev Karni actually." So I think with your permission, actually, I won't sum up using one sentence or like that. Actually, in a super fast train speed, I will try to just rephrase the really golden words and the sentences from all the expert speakers, so that now if I've rephrased it wrongly, please excuse me. That is not my intention. But I want to convey in as much raw form so that it appeals to the stakeholders. Actually, in fact, with your permission, I will go as fast as possible, covering all important points all of you have gathered, so that I will stick to the word. Actually, the more is less, because every point is so important. I think I could not filter what is more important, what is less important. I will try to go as fast as possible so that it will be really a sum up, sir. Okay. Is it okay, sir? Dr. Prakash?
Sir, we would like to hear you.
Okay, sir. Okay. So again, that is rephrasing Dr. Jinda's statement. Okay, that is nutrition is as important as air and water, and actually nature grows. And NN, I said nutrition and nutraceuticals, they are essential for life, growth, and sustenance. Nature grows the food, and it is the human who prepares, processes, and consumes food. He emphasized on three verticals: that academics, research, and industry, and they are the three verticals for nutri value chain. And academics have to prepare for the research, and they have to also be taught about heritage of a nutraceutical. And one of the questions for research is where to start. Actually, some of the hints he has given is source of nutrients, state of art laboratory, effect of solar rays on nutrients, nutraceuticals, and nutrition. And industry, actually, that is industry has to propagate the concept of superfood, which was eloquently referred by Dr. Jamuna Prakash. And obviously now we are hearing nutrition and immunity as a mere buzzwords. And India should take lead, and it should become global nutri value chain hub actually. And as far as the industry is concerned, his suggestion is we have to concentrate on application specific products, the botanical gardens, field survey, grassroots evaluation. You can take analogy with the pharmaceuticals, and the concept of pharmaceuticals was very much emphasized. And definitely, and we should lead and contribute in a very, very responsible way. Thorough validation of the requirements is a must. And what is also required is latest processing and packaging technology. Always keep in view the real life scenario, and industry should take lead in academia industry interface, and always be aware of attraction takes us to a different direction, and trustworthy is very important. And the role of government is actually you should promote nutri value chain, and innovation friendly regulatory framework is a must. The government also may have to address the WTO issues. And again, looking at the overall global budget, now it stands this global nutri value is at $412 billion, and in next 7 years it is going to be $722 billion, and India stands at $5 billion as is today, and the demand is rising. And what is very important is global trust is on the global trust is the need of the hour. And summing up his final message, nutrition is embedded in nature. Be proud and always aware of natural agriculture, and you are what you are because of what you eat. Actually, now coming back to Dr. Jamuna Prakash, I think a presentation. Health is an outcome of multiple determinants, and nutrition is only one aspect of it. And under nutritional health scenario, deficiencies, excesses, and non-communicable diseases should be kept in mind. And the issue of pandemonium pandemic has pandemonium because of unexpected nature, unknown nature, unpredictable nature, and negativism. And taking care of health, she eloquently stated, prevention should be the first option, and also it should be the last option. And common man's problem are, as of today, is overload of information, misinformation, true and false stories, negative outlook, lack of proper guidelines, and all of them are impacting the daily life. And she insisted, take care of self and family, keep safe, precautionary measures are very, very important, and prevention through healthy diet and living habits. And she defined something like a new normal. Learn to live with a changed order. Unhealthy diets lead to nutraceutical inadequacies, and food safety is important. Be aware of surface contamination, and nutrition guidelines is hygiene is very, very important. She just mentioned what are the unhealthy foods: high energy food, salt and sugar, bakery products, fried food, and refined foods. And again, building for better immunity is food living habits are very important. And she also mentioned what is called as a defensive nutrition paradigm. Practical consideration for it is legume, milk and milk products, whole grain, nuts and oil seeds, eggs, meat, and fish that is limited. Green leafy is very much important, and she termed them as a health tonic. Vegetable roots are very, very important. Regarding the supplement is needed only for elderly, and in case of non-elderly, it should be needed only when there is a deficiency. And do not take therapeutic doses or excessive supplements. Use fresh vegetables and fruits as much as possible, and foods have medicinal properties. And important message is, wastage of food amounts to disrespect for food. Take care and stay safe. This too shall pass. And she defined superfood as one enormity of nutrition and nutraceutical value in a small grain of food. Actually, coming to Dr. Prakash, actually is preferred to, that is, we preferred air travel to surface travel. India is first in nutraceutical. Health is up to the neck, and above it is our wellness. He quoted very well. And the knowledge stock market is what is required. Production of food grain, soil and match. There should be a match between the soil and crop that we grow. And the database is non-available, even though we have a rich heritage. Big data on food production from Indian perspective is a must. NNRC should collaborate with Agricultural University. If required, we can get handholding, or we can extend handholding, and speak and develop a dialogue with farmer in a language what the farmers can understand. He insisted on 3S, that is soil, seed, and strategy, and he eloquently dwelled on 4 sectors, that is grain sector, fruits and vegetable sector, meat, fish, and poultry sector, and dairy. And India leads in 2 of them. We already that dairy sector, food, fruits and vegetable sectors actually, and we can and particularly spices, condiments, and herbs are also equally important, and we can collaborate with the Indian Institute of Plantation. Nutraceuticals from agriculture product have to be kept in mind, and India has to lead nutraceutical, and we are proud that India is the first country to come out with and formulate nutraceutical regulation in India. And he dwelt upon what he call as the inner engineering, and the army of gut microbiomes versus the brain, and enrichment of this microbiome are is very important. And the concept of immunity, it is through nutrition and nutraceutical, and shake hand with equal, never be afraid actually, and never reject the request for handholding, and marketing and international marketing of NNRC for academia and R&D and industry will be the forefront. And he also dwelt upon traditional wisdom versus modern medicine. Evidence-based research is a must, and the future belongs to herbaceuticals, and harness this tremendous heritage that India possesses in herbaceuticals. Network with people and external people who may have nothing or anything to do with nutraceuticals and nutritional or food science. And 90% of the export of turmeric, that what we do is for only agri industry and pharma industry. And he dwelt upon what he calls the science, and the science from business, and talking about the communicate with appropriate language and acceptable language. Abstract should be in simple language, simple and appeal to the stakeholders. Scalable and reconfigured language is in need of the hour. NNRC should concentrate on capacity building and network the networking. I think that is his slogan. Many times he has put. And Ayurveda has a rich heritage of human trial, lifestyle, that is a postponement. Good lifestyle will lead to postponement of inevitable, and concentrate on foods which can delay the disease. And India is a store of it actually. In fact, disease delaying food, we have got a rich heritage and store. And he talked about Atmanirbhar Bharat. It's self-confidence and responsibility are associated with it. and definitely that is industry is essential for the growth of the country and wellness of consumer, wellness of cosmos. It will take because that has to be taken care. And if there is no stability in cosmos, we will be in danger. And he again told thinking should be our thinking, think, and he mentioned many rooms for thinking, business, finance. I think thinking is what is really essential. Again, just to sum up my talk, I should say, I always remember Dr. Kalam for his statements, I think. So let me conclude this, closing remarks by thinking should be our capital asset. Paraphrasing Dr. Kalam's statement, thinking should be our capital asset, irrespective of the ups and downs in our career. And there is nothing like a failure if you have learned something out of failure. And Dr. Prakash was also talking about inspiration, and actually inspiration and perspiration. I'm reminded of Dr. Thomas Alva Edison statement. Correct? No, genius is not inborn. It comes with 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. Again, Kalam's statement is: if you want to if you want to shine like sun, you have to burn like sun. Actually, I think that is a clear message. I hope if I inadvertently rephrased wrongly, please excuse me. I have tried to be as much as close to the statement and objective of statement. I think overall, I felt actually it has been a wonderful experience, and I'm sure, irrespective of the depth of knowledge or breadth of the knowledge, I think just like as we say in USA, good old days of USA, there is something for everyone somewhere. I'm sure the visionary talk by the distinguished panelist and the discussion definitely there will be some enrichment somewhere, and nobody will go out of this webinar without enrichment. Again, I take this opportunity to profusely thank all the speakers, Dr. Jindal, Dr. Prakash, Dr. Jamuna Prakash, Dr. Prakash, and our Priya Arjun, and the dignitaries who are there for the inaugural function, and the wholehearted support that always I get from Dr. Sharad Kumar and the team. Actually, thank you very much, sir. I am very, very proud of the outcome of this.
Thank you, Professor Kadambi. You already have made the proceedings of the webinar, and the proceedings are with you. So Priya Arjun and Shrikant and Sharath have no work now. So what shall we do? How to give them work? Because you already done the job. So I think I would like Shrikant and Priya to join in the front row so that this, on behalf of speakers, we can thank you. Can Shrikant and Priya join in the front row, because we can't see you from a distance. So it's a great pleasure on behalf of the speakers to first of all thank Miss Shirin so much that she could conduct perfectly well. And the beauty of she is very popular because she had no role to play on the control of time, and that's the perfect way to give her a responsibility. I'm glad you could take that freedom, and it really best things came out because it was a relaxed webinar. Thank you, Shirin, very much. It's also important that Shrikant and Priya, both from the same unit, work so well. And we have been in communication, and I think both myself, Dr. Jindal, and Professor Jamuna Prakash agree with me that you have made us also try out how to link up and so on. But in this process, Priya was so busy, she forgot herself to train a little bit of loading the slide. This happens, not to worry. A teacher's life is always like that. She's an excellent teacher. And Shrikant also, thank you very much for coordinating. Dr. Abhi Matthew is always very silent, but he is a mountain of knowledge. Mountain doesn't speak. The trees speak on the mountain. The mountain cannot speak. And therefore, he is an embodiment of knowledge, and he is paraphrased very well in the inaugural, how well he said. And thank you, Abhi, for that wonderful words from the speaker's side. And obviously, all the faculty of NNRC and all the other technical people is completely under the vision and supervision of Sharath. Sharath is somebody who is a scientist, who is a moderator, administrator, and also he can get things done the way it has to be done, most cordially. And I've never seen him getting angry in his life. So thank you, Sharad, for that wonderful way you handle things and get the most out of people. Thank you very much. And moderating the session with questions, we appreciate that. From the speaker's point of view. Professor Kadambi started the show and also ended the show. So he's the real Sutradhara. In Sanskrit, we say Sutradhara. Sutradhara keeps coming here and there, but in his case, he was absorbed everything and made the proceedings, and he gave the vision in the beginning, and it went on very well. Thank you very much. If there is anything else to be added by Dr. Jindal or Jamna Prakash, I will at this point of say bye and thank you. Next is Jindal and then Jamna Prakash, then we quit. Professor Jindal.
Dr. Jindal, your mic is muted, please.
Sorry, I forget sometimes to look for that small sign. Thank you, Dr. Prakash, very much, because this opportunity was actually provided to me by you. And I am extremely delighted to see the work which Ramaiah University is doing. And I think this is a very important center emerging in this part of our country, which can take the leap forward, interact, collaborate, network, reach out to organizations. And as you rightly said, I must thank you that industry is an important part of this chain, because finally, whatever is knowledge placed has to be converted into a product. And there the industry's role and the industry's responsibility stands out. And this is what we would always like to do. And I tell all the industry people in all seminars and discussions and meetings that in any other business, the bottom line is profit. But in the food industry, the Nutra industry, the bottom line is consumer satisfaction. Profits will come next. So if we believe in that and we think of that the first point of the existence of the food industry is to be a bridge between scientific knowledge and the consumer's needs. With that message, I would like to wish you all good luck. Very well performed and communicated and coordinated event. And I must congratulate the team to have done it. And anything which I can do as a part of IFA and the organization can do as an all India food industry body, we shall be very happy to do that and welcome you to let us know.
I think perhaps one possible way I can think as a very close associate of AIFPA and Ramaiah is the closeness of interaction to have probably a webinar in 2021 sometimes whenever it is convenient.
Sure.
Under the banner of AIFPA and in collaboration with RUAS, they will be very happy to interact and share their knowledge, and the industry can voice their problems, and you are the best bridge between them. So maybe that can be an anvil of agenda whenever it is possible. There is no hurry, but it's a good idea to do it because that sends the right message. And I think that's the way I would request. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Professor Jamna Prakash.
Yeah, I think I just have to say thank you to the entire organizing team for the excellent arrangements, for giving me an opportunity. And I wish you all the best for the new year, and also wish all of you to keep safe. So that's my real thank you to all of you.
Thank you very much. And we also send our very warm compliments, regards and support for the group NNRC by Mr. Jairam and Mr. Srinivas Murthy of the GEF, and also of the RUAS as Chancellor and the Chief Executive. So it is very important to remember how cooperative they are and how much support they give. So from another, just like what I said to Jindal, Maybe the NNRC group has quite a bit of deficiency. They are a little bit malnutritive in nutrition. So perhaps Professor Jamna Prakash can spend some time to train them and make them a little bit more healthy in nutrition, because they are underweight and undernourished, malnourished a little bit with nutrition. So I would like Professor Kadambi to take that agenda so that they become healthy, NNRC. So that because they're good in nutraceutical, but nutrition has to be geared up to a higher level to combat the world level of nutrition we are talking. So with that, I think I thank once again both Dr. Jindal and Professor Jamna Prakash. We had a delayed lunch probably. And if it were no COVID, we would have had an excellent lunch in Ramaya because they are catering institute. And I would request Dr. Jindal, who is going to make a point. I'm sure it will be a breaking news from Jindal. Dr. Jindal.
Thank you. Just a small point I recall. The government is working with IFA to look for the women entrepreneurs in the country in this food sector. Food would include, nutraceuticals or herbaceuticals or whatever whole range. So I will request Ramaya University to help us to make some links or to give us the examples if they are in touch with any women entrepreneurs or women working in the food sector, maybe small tiny scale, maybe some self-help groups making papads or pickles or chutneys somewhere, okay, even some dairy products they are making somewhere. So and the more it is linked with rural, it will be better. So this will be a good project, because we would then like to empower these initiatives, these people, with technical help, with financial help, and with other packaging information and all.
And workshops, maybe workshops.
Maybe workshop to grow. So this information we are trying to compile if we can get help from the university.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I'm sure they will be able to take that. And with that, I think we close this very wonderful interaction. I wish you all the best. Have a happy new year. Bye. Bye then. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Namaskar. Thank you.